Announced this morning that they will have one game in London this coming season at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The time, date, and opponent is still to be determined. And your Nashville Predators are back in action this evening against the St. Louis Blues. Pre-game begins right here at 6 p.m. And Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman joined Caroline Willie and D. Mace this afternoon discussing how the Nashville Predators have been outside of a playoff spot looking in here the last few weeks.
What the Predators have to do is they can't just keep being close. They have to get in. Like, they have to say, we're not just going to get within 2 or 3 points and then we're going to start losing again. You have to be right there.
I'm Nick Keyser for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance.
Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Ian Safar's here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
We got a general manager introductory press conference tomorrow at noon. You know I will be there. You know I will have questions for Rand Carthon as the new Titans general manager. Now, I'm not going to have to ask this because everybody's going to ask this, but everybody's going to want to know, how in charge are you? You have the title general manager, but for some teams, general manager means final decision maker. I'm on the clock. I'm picking Johnny Joe. And in some places, like where Rand Carthon comes from, it's more of like an advisor to the head coach. He runs the personnel department. The head coach swoops in for the draft and says, I like Johnny. All right, let's draft him. And I don't know what's going to happen here with the Titans. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I am going to say that we will not have a resolution on that this time tomorrow, 2 hours after Rand Carthon's press conference is over. We won't know. And I was listening to the midday show, and it was, who really has final say? And I've heard all the cuts. I've heard the Jeff Fisher cut, in which Jeff Fisher said, oh, they'll work so great together. It will be fantastic. Trust me. Jeff Fisher, notoriously known as the biggest backstabber in Titans history, Jeff Fisher is promising all of us that Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel will play nice in the sandbox. Okay. Here's the truth. This is what I believe. Amy Adams Strunk told everybody who interviewed for this position that I want you and I want Mike Vrabel to get along. And if you two can't get along, then I'll have to make the final say. But if I don't think you can get along, or you can't promise me in the interview process that you can get along, I'm not going to hire you. So once everybody heard that, if there was any candidate out there who thought to themselves, well, I really want final say of the roster, but she's not going to give it to me, then they would have taken themselves out of consideration for the job. That's how that would have worked. The Titans are not the only place in the NFL where the owner says, okay, well, I have the final say. Not by any stretch of the imagination. And so this is why Rand Carthon took this job, because it's only one of 32. And as Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who got fired today, learned the hard way when he turned down the head coaching position of the Jacksonville Jags last offseason, you never know when you're going to get another opportunity. So Rand Carthon took this job because he's not going to be a subordinate for Mike Vrabel. He's got one of 32, and he goes from being fourth in decision-making with the San Francisco 49ers to tied for first in decision-making with the Tennessee Titans. That's not very hard. Where the dynamic of who's really in charge actually comes into play is when things go poorly. When things go well, everything is, oh, we couldn't have done it without your coaching, Mike. Oh, we couldn't have done it without your hard work on the personnel side, Ran. And everybody's cheersing to beers and saying, way to go, congratulations, everybody's happy. Have you noticed that nobody wonders on the good teams how much say Andy Reid has over Brent Veach? Nobody ever talks about it. Why? Because they win. Do you know who has final say in Buffalo between Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane? I don't either. I actually do know it's McDermott, but I know you don't. But it doesn't matter because they win. So when things are going well, everybody gets the credit. The reality is when this matters about who's got final say or who bears responsibility for mistakes, that's when it will matter. That's when they will run into the problem that I think is inevitable because nobody wins in this league every year. That is when the rubber will meet the road. Who's really in charge? And the answer is Ran Carthon didn't lose 7 games in a row at the end of this season. I know Mike Vrabel is the most popular guy in Nashville sports. And if the Titans got mad for losing 7 in a row and announced that they were firing him, that would cause all kinds of problems, not just for the Titans locally, but probably across the league. It would be a bad look for the Titans. Somebody else would gain because they'd hire Vrabel immediately tomorrow, probably Carolina. But it would be a bad look for the Titans. So they know they can't do that. But this is the league where nobody is safe. This is the league where a team can be the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs ahead of Josh Allen, ahead of Patrick Mahomes, falling in a playoff game, no losing seasons, contract extension, and the general manager gets fired. That's how this league works. Ran Carthon walks in with a clean slate. Todd Downing, not his fault. Anything Ryan Tannehill does or doesn't do, not his fault. Anything that any draft pick over the last 6 years does, not his fault. If Kyle Phillips, for instance, never develops into a slot receiver, that's not Ran Carthon's fault. And this is why final say really becomes an issue. Because if the Titans don't win, somebody is going to get blamed. Hell, the Titans didn't win this season. The general manager got fired, and so did the offensive coordinator. And the line coach got fired. Pass defense was 32nd in the NFL. Secondary coach got fired. This is the league of the blame game, and Mike Vrabel no longer has the human shields to keep the criticism away from him. When Vrabel got here, he inherited a playoff team that had beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in the wild card round, and it ended up losing a playoff game to Brady in New England. Just so you know, a lot of people lose playoff games to Brady in New England. And they fired the coach anyways. So they bring in Vrabel. That team doesn't make the playoffs. Did Vrabel get blamed? Nope. Next year, Mariota was on the hot seat. Then the Titans started to win. And when the Titans started to win, John Robinson got his credit for trading a 4th-round pick for Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill got his credit with a brand new $100 million contract. And Mike Vrabel got his credit because the Titans were tough and nobody wanted to play them, and they did better than everybody else expected. Then when things started to go downhill, defense was bad in 2020. Vrabel didn't have a defensive coordinator. Did he get the blame? Nope. Shane Bowen did. 2021, who got the blame? Ryan Tannehill, 3 interceptions in the playoff game against the Bengals. This year, Todd Downing, John Robinson. Vrabel didn't want that A.J. Brown trade. Hey, Mike, did you want the A.J. Brown trade? Yes. It's not Vrabel's fault they don't have an offensive line. They fired the line coach, so obviously he wasn't happy with how they were being coached. Offensive coordinator, every day, everybody, including myself, complained, and nobody ever complained about Vrabel. It was always about the coach. Well, he's gone. The GM's gone. They will have a choice to make about the quarterback this offseason. So if they bring him back, Vrabel cannot plead innocence on, well, it's Tannehill's fault, not mine. And if things go poorly, and I'm not saying they will or won't, I have no idea. It'll be a new season. I actually am optimistic this will be a decent GM hire, and the Titans will be right on trucking and right back to the playoffs and right there with Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Buffalo. I hope. I don't know. But if they don't, that's when it's every man for himself. I'm sure Ryan Tannehill hates it for Todd Downing, that Todd Downing got cut, but I bet you Ryan Tannehill looks at it and says, better him than me. And when it becomes every man for himself, remember this. Rand Carthon didn't lose 7 games in a row last year. Mike Vrabel did. Final say only matters for 2 reasons. One is power. One is it's my team, my operation, my vision, my goal. And Mike Vrabel has that. But when you lose 7 games in a row, you are in no position to argue for that kind of power. And the second reason final say is important, because it is who gets the blame. Oh, I didn't want to draft Vince Young. Don't blame me for that one. Everybody will sit there and say, is it Carthon? Is it Vrabel? Is it? I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way for anybody to ever know. Every coach probably thinks they don't get good enough players, and every single personnel guy probably thinks the coach could do a better job coaching them. That's football. Everybody who's ever gotten fired in football has some sort of story for why it's not their fault. Whenever we ask about Vince Young and why he didn't succeed with the Titans, Floyd used to always say, when I was there, he was Rookie of the Year and made it to the Pro Bowl. What happened after I left, I don't know. It's all about pointing the finger. And the way things are shaping up for the Titans, you all want to know if they're on the clock at, they trade back to 28 and they're on the clock and they don't know, do we take the tackle? Do we take the guard? I don't know. Do we take the defensive end? I don't know. Who's going to make the call? That is not what's important. What's important is whose fault is it when things don't go well. In the case of the Titans, when we knew John Robinson was in charge, it ended up being him. And guess what? He got fired. The offensive coordinator did. The line coach did. They'll have an opportunity if they want to fire the quarterback. Mike Vrabel, better win, babe, because you're next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. And I don't think people understand how close to the hot seat Vrabel is and how it's not a bad thing for Rand Carthon to almost just basically be like, hey, we're going to work together in tandem. It'll be, because anything that goes wrong won't be his fault. And that's the way you want it to be. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Speaking of Rand Carthon, I do wonder if he understands the expectations or if the expectations are going to stay the same. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, rocking and rolling right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rex Road for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Add this to your New Year's resolutions. Win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe. Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas, so you get the best odds anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Plus, check out their special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sports app now and place your bets. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey guys, the new year is here! And for many of us, that means making resolutions to get healthier and in better shape. But if you don't have that youthful energy, if you aren't sleeping well, if you feel like you're walking around in a fog all day, just resolving to get out of bed can be tough, let alone getting back in the gym. But you should know that there are many men feeling this way in these modern times, because low testosterone is affecting more men than ever. And low T can cause all kinds of issues like a reduced sex drive, poor sleep patterns, general fatigue, ineffective workouts. It can even contribute to ED. But the good news is that the medical team at the Tennessee Men's Clinic are experts in treating low T. Many men have experienced life-changing results. Testosterone therapy can help increase energy, workouts, make you feel more rested, and enjoy a greater sex drive too. So make a resolution to find that guy you used to be. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes a medical consult and testosterone panel. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment, sex drive results vary.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Ford. It's a new year, so I thought I would share my personal resolution with you. My resolution is to be able to hula hoop on the trampoline for 1 minute. This might be painful. Since I've had years of practice making resolutions, I thought I'd give you some tips on making yours. It should involve 3 key components. First, make it something new, like texting without using your thumbs. Second, make it easy, like reading more, or at least turning the subtitles on while binge watching Netflix. And third, make sure no matter what, that you buy your next new car from Newton. We want to make your purchase fast and easy with Newton FastPass. We'll even deliver the car to you. Remember, new, easy, and buy at Newton. I have a feeling this next year is going to be great. Shop at NewtonFord.com to start your resolution today. See website for details. Put your resolutions in writing.
We're Cromwell Media, and if you work here, you're family, and that means a lot. Dagwood has been our morning host on 102.9 The Buzz for 24 years. For Christy Maffett on our sales team, that means 23 years of service. Haley St. John, also an on-air talent on 102.9 The Buzz, is celebrating 10 years. Shannon Sanders, the architect behind 102.1 The Ville, joined our team 5 years ago. Charlotte Simmons, who works on our corporate team, has been with us for 3 years. Want to be part of our amazing Cromwell family? Contact us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I understand Mike Vrabel wanting a guy like Rand. You know, first off, he's going, wait, we played the 49ers last year. They got a bunch of guys that we talk about all the time, right, that are psycho, and the coach says run through a brick wall, and they don't even think. They just go. I could see him liking that. And Rand, of course, been around the game his whole life, but has a great history of, knowledge just in his time in the NFL. Working for Thomas Dimitroff in Atlanta, who's got a good eye for talent, going to the Rams football team. And I know they weren't great, but the one thing I'll say about Jeff Fisher, his eye for talent, to me, is top-notch. It's a reason the Titans were always relevant for so long. And then to go, from there to the 49ers, and, of course, the team they've accumulated there. So this is a guy that understands how to build team. He's got an eye for talent, and that's something I think they're missing a little there with Tennessee. They got a lot of stuff there. They need some playmakers, some sizzle like we talk about, and A.J. Brown again. They got to have some guys that can make some plays and not always make it about 10 plays, Derrick Henry up the middle, we smashed you and scored that way.
There you go. That was Chris Sims. You hear him right there saying, hey, they were missing some players here. John Robinson didn't get them. They got to have some better players. By the way, shame on Chris Sims for throwing Jeff Fisher in there with an eye for talent. The hell is he talking about? Jeff Fisher, an eye for talent. I mean, that's embarrassing. Now, I know that Chris Sims played on the Titans when Jeff Fisher was the coach, and that's probably why that had something to do with that. But I'm sorry, that's embarrassing to me. You know who got those players, right? Like, you guys know who got Derek Mason and Javon Curse and Steve McNair and Eddie George. Thank you. Okay. So I saw this article, and I sent this to a handful of people yesterday. Look, I don't think John Robinson was without faults. I mean, I wouldn't have fired John Robinson, but I don't think that he was without faults, for sure. But ESPN and their Football Outsiders, DVOA, Willie Donick metrics, had a list on ESPN behind the paywall. And it was the top rookie classes of the 2022 draft. And I clicked it, and I was like, I wonder where the Titans are. You know, Burks had a couple of good games. Okonkwo looks like he might be pretty good. I mean, maybe the Titans probably, 12th, 13th, 14th. Fourth. Everybody out there, John Robinson's so bad he traded A.J. Brown and he drafted Isaiah Wilson, and he's so bad we have to fire him. Fourth. The only teams ahead of him, Kansas City, who had a buttload of picks because they traded Tyreek Hill. The Jets, number 2, who had 2 first-round picks in the top 10. And Seattle, who traded Russell Wilson. They're the only teams that had a better rookie class than the Tennessee Titans, and you just fired that general manager. So I hope the standards are the same. That's all I ask. John Robinson never had a losing season. John Robinson won 61% of his games, the same amount as Bill Walsh. And I am not getting on the soapbox poo-pooing on Ran Carthon, and I am not saying he's not going to be great because I'm hoping he is. But I just hope we have some consistency here. I just hope that we hold the same guys accountable at the same level that we held John Robinson. Because I remember with the Predators, when Peter Laviolette got canned, and it was, it was supposed to be a good season, and it was a big off season, and they approached the new year, and they were just on the outside of the playoffs looking in, and the good players that they were paying all this money to weren't playing well, and so David Poile decided it was time for a change. Can I ask you what's going on with the Predators right now? Other than the fact that this coach has not hung 3 banners in 3 consecutive years like Laviolette did before he got fired, what's going on with the Predators right now? They're outside of the playoffs looking in. The players they're paying all this money to aren't playing very well. They're not very good. They are stuck with this roster. They don't fire the coach? Nope. David Boyle's like, can't blame the coach for winning and losing. So let's not be like that. Let's hold Ran Carthon and Mike Vrabel to the same standards that we are holding John Robinson to. Made a couple of bad first-round picks. Got to go. That's what it is. In all seriousness. Now, like Robinson, I thought it was ridiculous to show up at training camp without a right tackle and a left guard. Ridiculous. But he still won a lot of games. Again, 4th. The 4th best rookie class, according to DVOA. Whatever the hell that is. ESPN tracking metrics and Football Outsiders DVOA, according to ESPN. Boy, I hope the Midday Show uses this piece because Willie cannot dispute it because Football Outsiders, those are his guys. Seattle, number 1. The Jets with 2 top 10 picks, number 2. Kansas City with 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, number 3. And the Titans, number 4. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Tom is going to kick us off here on Stillman & Company. Thank you for calling. What's up, Tom?
Hey, thanks, man. So I got a what if. What if Vrabel did not want the A.J. trade, but he had to toe the line at the time in order to stay, just to say, hey, we're all on the same side here. I was for the A.J. But the owner, Amy Adams, she knew who really pushed that trade, and somebody had to pay for that in Amy's eyes, and that ended up being Robinson.
Don't you think that's the most logical thing?
That trade.
Don't you think that's the most logical thing that happened? I do. I think that's exactly what happened.
Is that one thing just enough to make the firing?
So I was thinking about this.
Like, is that just one, is that worth it? Just one thing like that?
So this morning I was on Robbie and Joe. And Joe said, he asked me, like, now that the season's over and the dust is settled, because I think everybody, for the most part, was in agreement that firing Robinson, when they fired Robinson, was absolutely ridiculous, and I do believe that it absolutely tanked the season, and I think the Tennessee Titans would still be playing today if they had not made that decision. Now, there's no way to prove that, but I do think that. And so I'm sitting here, and I'm asked by Joe about, would you fire Robinson at the end of the year? And I said, no, I wouldn't. But look, not having a right tackle or a left guard going into training camp was ridiculous. The fact that they could have tendered David Quessenberry, and I know David Quessenberry isn't a superhero at right tackle, but he was serviceable for you. The fact that they didn't tender him for $2 million and they gave Jeff Swaim $3.5 million was ridiculous. I mean, it wasn't like Robinson was perfect by any means. No general manager is perfect. But I would have stuck with Robinson because I think the good outweighs the bad. To your point, asking, was it the AJ trade? I think it was. When she says that it wasn't the AJ trade and I had already made up my mind before the game, bullcrap. I think they got embarrassed with how AJ played. And because of that, I think they fired the general manager. I think they were mad about a lot of things. I think they were mad about the Julio trade. I think they were mad about the Farley pick. I think they were mad about the Isaiah Wilson pick. I think they were being tired of being told, hey, just trust me on this. I know, just trust me. And then the AJ game happened and they fired him. Do I think that, to the caller's point, that Amy knew that Vrabel probably didn't like it? Probably. The reason why Vrabel can't say he was against the AJ trade is because, one, they had been working on it for days, supposedly, and two, because what's that say to Burks? Now, if you're Traylon Burks and your coach comes out and says, I never would have made that trade, what is that going to do for your relationship with Traylon Burks? It's not going to be very good. And we should also leave in, now I'm worried Burks might be a little soft, and he's going to have to toughen up over the offseason, but maybe there's a chance that Burks actually becomes a good player. I'm just crazy. I know. I'm just throwing that out there. 615-737-1025. More your phone. 615-737-1025. Plus, everybody wants to know about the offensive coordinator search, and I do too. But there are two coaching positions that I think are very, very important, and one of which I think I just found the person I think the Titans should hire for. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
When you want all the
going in and the score, blast the score. He wrists one, they score.
And don't forget the
oh, what a stop! Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville, we have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark again from Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Looking for the next place to hold a business dinner or just a private room for you and your guests to enjoy? Then look no further than Bob's. We believe in top quality food and service without all the distractions. So join us and experience why we've been voted Diner's Choice on Open Table for 6 years running.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
The 17th Annual Father and Son Bowl is February 11th. This event is a fun day of flag football, tailgate food, door prizes, a skill zone, and more. Every year sells out, so register now. Go to FatherSonBowl.com. That's FatherSonBowl.com.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you, despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Lehman. Belmont Basketball is the best sports entertainment value in Nashville. Join us. Get your tickets at BelmontBruins.com. Belmont Basketball. It's Bruin time.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
On the Friday edition of Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace, what we think should be the next order on Rand Carthon's to-do list. Plus, we'll carry his introductory press conference live at noon, all coming up tomorrow on 102.5 The Game.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You better get a jump start on getting guys, because good assistant coaches, I mean, it's not just the coordinators that you have to hire. I mean, these position coaches are important. I mean, and if you just hire a good coordinator and don't get a bunch of guys, if you don't get a bunch of guys around them, if you just hire a good coordinator, that, it kind of puts you, behind the eight ball, so to speak.
There you go. That was Coach Charlie Weiss on SiriusXM NFL Radio. And I do think that it's not sexy to talk about on the radio, but it is important to talk about. And that is not just the coordinator search, because we don't really know where the Titans are there. Yeah, they reached out to Eric Bieniemy. We don't know where they are there. But it's also the assistant coaching search. And I will tell you, and it's too bad that I don't have Coach Shoop in with me today, I think offensive line coach might be one of the most important position coaches in the NFL. Do you all remember what it was like when Mike Munchak was here? Because I do. When I was a kid, the Titans every year would lose like a guard or a tackle or something like that, and they just draft one or promote somebody, and all of a sudden we'd never complain about the offensive line. Now, you used to be able to practice back then, which you're not able to do now because you're not allowed to wear pads and you're not allowed to hit, and OTAs are really nothing. But back in those days, they had Mike Munchak. And Mike Munchak, and I know this to be a fact because Floyd told me, Mike Munchak was a big part of the Titans' process in evaluating offensive line prospects. If Munchak didn't like a guy, Floyd didn't draft him. And so if Munchak thought a guy like David Stewart or Zach Pillar could become a good player after a year under Mike Munchak's tutelage, then they drafted him, and he ended up becoming a player. And so I know that everybody wants to know about the offensive coordinator, and that matters. But Vrabel needs to figure out what he's going to do with the offensive line coach. The second thing, and this just came down the pipe within the last hour, but the Dolphins have fired their defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer. Now, Josh Boyer had been there for 3 seasons. He came from New England, where Brian Flores was not the defensive coordinator, because Belichick doesn't like doing titles, but where he was essentially the defensive coordinator, and Josh Boyer was the secondary coach, and Boyer came with Flores to the Dolphins, and he was the defensive coordinator for 3 years. They fired him. My guess is McDaniel is going to want to hire one of his guys to go be the defensive coordinator. I think Josh Boyer, who spent a lot of time coaching the secondary in New England, I think Boyer would be a good fit as a secondary coach for the Titans after they fired Anthony Midget, since he knows what they do and how Vrabel likes to coach them. And another thing about Boyer, I don't know if he was there in some cleaning out ashtrays or driving people to the airport capacity when Mike Vrabel played, but my guess is their paths haven't crossed much, and I like that because I think that we need more people that Mike Vrabel is not comfortable with, who he can get to know and he can get to coach, as opposed to the Vrabel Bobo brigade of people that he's friendly with or that he worked with the Texans or in Ohio State, because that feels like everywhere with which we're going. Back to your phones. Chris, Titans and Truth, is up next here on the program. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Jared, thank you for taking my call once again.
Always.
Back to what you were saying earlier about Vrabel being on the hot seat. I think we had this conversation about a month ago for the last month that, it should be more blame on Vrabel, just as it should be on John Robinson as well for the picks. But who's in charge of making sure those picks and those players are prepared to play on Sunday? That's Mike Vrabel's job. And now, like you said, Rand Carthon didn't lose 7 games in a row to end the year and basically lose the division title that you had in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Vrabel did that. It was Vrabel's job to get those guys to play past all the distractions, and they didn't do well with that. So now, he kind of maybe figured it out with firing Todd Downing, which may have bought him at least another year.
What about the special teams coach?
This year, this upcoming season, Rand Carthon has absolutely no loyalty to him, no matter how much Miss Amy wants collaboration, and I understand that. But if Vrabel don't produce, holler at you.
I'm going to tell you something. Good call, Chris. And that's the reality of it. I know there's a lot of people, they won't fire Mike Vrabel. This roster's so bad. They won't fire Vrabel. Jared, guys, this is the NFL. Everybody gets fired. Tell me they won't fire him. Bill Belichick has won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. And Robert Kraft is stepping in. No, Bill, we're not experimenting at offensive coordinator anymore. Go get a grown-up. Nobody is safe in this league. The Titans lost 7 games in a row at the end of the season. Think about this. The Titans lost 7 games in a row. And Mike Vrabel gets no blame. Chris Sims earlier was talking on NBC with Pro Football Talk with Florio. And they were talking about the Titans hiring Rand Carthon, and he was talking about Vrabel. And it was like just listen to the pillow that Mike Vrabel has, just the comfort, how insulated he is from criticism. This was Chris Sims.
I'm a huge fan of Mike Vrabel. I am. The way they play football, their game planning. I mean, even again, I know they lost that Jaguars game, but, man, they were undermanned. They had issues. They managed the game perfectly. They really did. And it took a miraculous play by the Jaguars to win the football game. I love this hiring of Rand Carthon.
I mean, I'll tell you, Vrabel, he gets them ready to play every game, and it's not his fault they lost to Jacksonville. And the fact that they were right there with Jacksonville, that tells you how great of a coach Vrabel is. That only lasts so long. First it was Marcus, not Vrabel's fault. Then they won. Everybody celebrates. Everybody gets the credit. Derrick Henry, Tannehill, the defense, Vrabel, Robinson. Everybody gets a party when you win. And then it was Shane Bowen's fault. It wasn't Vrabel's fault. It was Shane Bowen's fault. Then it was Todd Downing. It was Julio Jones. It was Ryan Tannehill's 3 interceptions. Then it was John Robinson and Todd Downing and Keith Carter, the line coach, that all paid the price. You can't keep losing 7 games in a row. There has to be a solution somewhere. And if you win, you get to keep your job. Bud Grant, the legendary coach of the Vikings, used to always say, coaching in the NFL is the best job in the world when you win. That's how this league is. I'll give you a story. And this is one of the reasons why, while I do think that John Robinson should have gotten another season, I mean, somebody texted into the text line and was like, no need to defend John Robinson now after you bashed his picks. This show is a daily evaluation. But I never once said that they should fire the guy. And I don't feel like I'm defending him. I'm just telling the truth. And I'm just asking that the standards that are applied to John Robinson are going to be applied to the next guy. Just like the standards that were applied to Peter Laviolette that led to him losing his job have not been applied to John Hines, who has done infinitely less and has the Predators in the exact same position that they were when he took over the job. But when John Robinson got the job, there was a forced marriage by Amy Adams Strunk between him and Mike Mularkey. She was comfortable with Mularkey, and Robinson figured, I'll make it work. But the truth is, Robinson didn't want Mularkey. He wanted to fire him and wanted to hire his own coach. But he knew he couldn't get the job if he didn't show up and say, oh, yeah, I'll work with Mike Mularkey. Everybody and their grandma knew that Mike Mularkey was going to get the job as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. So Robinson plays nice. And that first year, there was real synergy between Mike Mularkey and John Robinson. And I'm not going to speak for Mike Mularkey, who I have the utmost amount of respect for. But I think Mike Mularkey, after that first year, thought they had something special. Then the second year comes around. And the team, it's a tougher schedule, and it's a harder season, and they have some injuries. And so they start off 8-4. They go out west. They lose 2 games in a row. And at that point, it was like the Cold War between Mularkey and Robinson. I mean, it was the definition of stabbing in the back. The reason that Robinson took the shot that he had in order to fire Mularkey, it wasn't about Robisky. The reason that he did it was because he always wanted his own coach. But Mike Mularkey won too many games. Mike Mularkey screwed up the deal. I mean, they were supposed to go 6-10 the first year, not 9-7. And then they were probably going to fire him after that. But they were supposed to lose at some point so they could fire the coach and John could get his own guy in. Rand Carthon's doing the same thing. I mean, I'm sure he would love to come in and knock it out of the park with the 11th overall pick next year and piece together an offensive line and the Titans to be in the AFC Championship game the next year on the road at Buffalo with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I'm sure he would love that. And if that's the case, Mike Vrabel would be his best buddy because when you win, everybody gets the credit. Jeff Fisher wasn't trying to push Floyd Reese out when they were winning. He was trying to push him out when they were losing. But if they lose, Rand Carthon knows. They just signed for a 4 or 5 year deal. I mean, hey, they're not going to fire me after one draft. You can't fire a GM after one draft. He knows Vrabel's the one who's going to get the blame. Vrabel knows Vrabel's the one that's going to get the blame. This is the NFL, people. This is exactly how the NFL works. Cody texts into the text line. Says the Titans have no offensive linemen. The worst wide receiving core in the league. 0 depth. Starting practice squad guys every week. I liked Robinson, but it was time to move on. Guess what? Next season, if those issues don't get fixed and the Titans lose, Mike Vrabel will be looking for another job. And I'm not saying this because I want to push Mike Vrabel out. I like Mike Vrabel. I think he's one of the 3 best coaches in the league. With Sean McVay, who I am not dropping from the top 3 just because they had a bad season, and Kyle Shanahan. Because I don't think you get dumped off for one season. Unlike apparently the rest of the NFL. Byron Leftwich getting fired after he was getting head coaching jobs last year. I mean, just ridiculous. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. There was some Titans news today that I was not expecting to hear. We'll get to that and your phones next. Stillman & Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman & Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SAVVY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text SAVVY to 42424. That's SAVVY to 42424.
A show that lives and breathes sports.
Focus in, focus in, focus in.
From the SEC.
Credit to the Alabamas, the Georgias, and the Ohio States of the world.
To the Preds.
They've been in a lot of really tight games, but they're not winning enough of them.
To the Titans.
He's talking about what this franchise has built over the years.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
What is this? Check it out.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey everyone, Harry Kane here. I'm here at the home of Spurs and the location for 2 of the 2023 London Games. Lucky for you, I'm here to announce the designated teams for next season. So without further delay, let's get into it. To play at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the one you can see behind me, get loud for that Bills Mafia. I can't wait to hear the noise. It's the Buffalo Bills. And the second team, and bringing King Henry, is the Tennessee Titans. And finally, to play at my other home, the home of England football, the returning Jacksonville Jaguars. What an epic slate of games. I can't wait.
There you go, the London Games. Harry Kane and the Titans are going to London next year. They will be hosting a game. Who will they play? We don't know. When will they play? We don't know. When will the bye be? We don't know. Will it be one of those games that comes on at 9:30 in the morning? Probably. But all we know is the Titans will be having a home game at the new stadium. Last time they played at Wembley Stadium. They're going to be playing at, what is that, Tottenham? You're the soccer guy.
Tottenham Hotspur. Yep.
They'll be playing at that stadium. I went in 2018. I had a great time. I don't think I'll be going back this upcoming year. In fact, I think my dad is really excited after making the trip to London last time and then having to fly 8 hours on a flight next to me after Mike Vrabel went for 2 against the Chargers and the Titans didn't get it and lost the game, and he had to hear about it for 8 hours. I think that he will be glad to not go on this year's London trip. Could be wrong, but we did have a great time. But I think there's a couple of factors here that are worth noting. Number one, have you noticed that almost everybody who goes to London is doing it because they want something from the league? The Titans never went to London. How long have they been playing NFL games in London for? A decade?
Let me see if I can find out for sure.
I want to say when Sally called into George Plaster's show to scream about Jeff Fisher, Floyd was in the air with the Patriots going to London. So at least 2009. I'm going to say probably 2006, 2008.
2007. Looks like October 2007. It was the Giants defeated the Dolphins.
Okay. Every time, 99% of the time, that somebody goes to London, it's because they want something for the league. And in 2018, the Titans, who had never been to London, the Titans decided to go to London. What did the NFL give Nashville in 2019? The draft. You do something for the league, and the league does something for you. The Jags always go to London. Their owner owns the stadium there. They're trying to build a fan base there. I don't think it's really working. But the Jags go to London every year. And besides, until last week, nobody in Jacksonville cared about the Jags anyways. So they, couldn't draw anybody for their home game. So they'd go play a game in London every year. And the owner owned that stadium. And that's why they're playing at Wembley and everybody else is playing at Tottenham. But other than that, the Titans and the Bills, two teams that are building stadiums. What do owners do? They take out debt from the league. You do that, you got to go to London. You go to London, you know what you usually get? The Super Bowl, the draft. The thing that the league needs teams to do, that teams don't want to do, because there is a disadvantage as far as competition is concerned. The thing that people don't want to do is they don't want to set their team behind. So the league uses chips like the Super Bowl, like the draft, like the combine for Indianapolis. If you do things for the league, and then you get what you want. That's why the Titans are going to London, because the city of Nashville is going to build a new stadium, and the Titans are going to want the Super Bowl, and Amy Adams Strunk is about to take out a huge chunk of debt from the NFL, and so now you got to do the NFL a favor. And normally it doesn't just stop there. By the way, Ian, who was on the in-season edition of Hard Knocks this year on HBO?
Arizona, I believe.
Who's hosting the Super Bowl this year?
Is it Arizona?
It's Arizona. So, I mean, the one thing, I thought about this the second that the Titans got their new stadium, or I shouldn't say got, because there's still a process. But once we kind of all knew that the new stadium was pretty much done and delivered, I said, Vrabel's going to hate this. They're going to end up on Hard Knocks. Now, if they don't make the playoffs next year, they will absolutely end up on Hard Knocks, unless Vrabel gets fired. Because Vrabel as the coach is enough, even though the Titans aren't the Cowboys or one of these teams that people care about, the Titans with Vrabel, I think that's enough to get people to tune into Hard Knocks. By the way, Detroit was on Hard Knocks this past season. Guess who's getting a draft? Detroit. Indianapolis has begged and pleaded with the league. Please do not move the combine. Whatever you do, do not move the combine from Indianapolis, please. And the league threatened, well, we've got the NFL Network headquarters right there as a part of SoFi Stadium. We could do the combine there. Dallas, Jerry Jones built that monstrosity of a practice complex area that they could host the combine in, and Jerry wants it. Indianapolis said, fine, we'll do the in-season Hard Knocks last year. And then the league announced the 2023 and 2024 combines are going to stay in Indianapolis. So I look at the schedule and I think, okay, who are the Titans playing next year that the league could leverage a trip to London for in order to get a favor? And the teams that I guess I circled, because I don't think they're going to move a premium game out of Nashville in order to send it to London, because you don't want to screw over your season ticket holders. Now, there are not a lot of premium games on the schedule next year as far as home games are concerned. And so there's not like a Dallas like there was this past year. But there is Cincinnati, so I don't think they're going to do that. I think you're probably looking at Atlanta, because it wouldn't surprise me if Atlanta was going to try to get in play for another Super Bowl. I would not be surprised if it was Indianapolis that went out there to play the Titans. Titans play the Colts every year. If you're a season ticket holder, you don't go to Titans-Colts this year, that's fine. You'll go next year. You went last year. But then Indianapolis can try to use that to try to keep the combine in Indy. And the other one I thought about was Carolina. And I mentioned Carolina because it's not a premium team. But I do wonder, is Carolina going to try to get something out of the league soon? We haven't seen them in Charlotte go after a draft. We haven't. Maybe Carolina could be a part of it. But with the new stadium comes favors from the league because you want the Super Bowl. And once you start doing favors for the league, you got to do what everybody else does. 2012, the Dolphins were on Hard Knocks. 2014, the Dolphins went to London. 2019, Dolphins got the Super Bowl. That's how it works. Andre in Hendersonville texts in and says, if there was ever a season for the Titans to be on Hard Knocks, this would be it. Tons of drama. Let me say this. I don't know what the official Hard Knocks list is, because in order to be eligible to not have the right to refuse Hard Knocks, you have to have missed the playoffs 2 years in a row and not have a new head coach. Sometimes there are years where there's nobody on that list who's worth watching. And now everybody gets fired every year in the NFL anyways. So it's like if you don't win, you get fired. So there may not be enough teams out there that are even eligible for Hard Knocks, or if they are, it's bad. It's the Cleveland Browns.
This is from USA Today. It was written January 2023. So I think it's pretty accurate. Only 4 teams meet the qualifications: the Bears, the Saints, the Commanders, and the Jets.
Any of those teams interesting to you at all for Hard Knocks? More interesting than Mike Vrabel? I'm telling you, if you need a favor from the league, you got to do Hard Knocks. Boy, I would love to be in that room when Burke Nihill, the team president and CEO, has to explain to Vrabel they're doing Hard Knocks and he doesn't have a choice. And those things are going to happen. The release about the game in London, Burke Nihill was quoted, "Oh, we're so excited to go back to London. Oh, it's so great. Vrabel, we're so excited to go back to London." You think Vrabel's excited to play a football game in London? And so I can't wait. I do wonder, if you're the league, do you put the pressure on the Titans for Hard Knocks for this offseason? Boy, that would be some tea. And I'd be here for it. I would be here for it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Jim in Franklin texts in, Jared, enough with the Robinson firing. His sole responsibility as a GM was to contend with a Super Bowl caliber roster. While his teams were winning and competitive, it was clear none were Super Bowl caliber. Stop. Was last year's team not Super Bowl caliber? Were the 2021 Titans not Super Bowl caliber? Serious question. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady, and Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills all lost the same weekend. That was a Super Bowl caliber team. Don't go making up that the Titans were not a contender in 2021. And that's all I'm saying about Rand Carthon and Vrabel and everybody else going forward. I just want the same standards to apply. I don't want the bar to be lowered like I feel like it has for the Predators. 615-737-1025. TD will join us for the TD Power Hour. Teron Davenport will give us his thoughts. Rand Carthon is in as the next general manager of the Titans. What's he think about it? And what's he think about the dynamic between Carthon and Vrabel? And more, we'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Haskins again doesn't get it. Jaguars have won the AFC South.
We talk the game.
The offensive side of the football for the Titans, who should be back next season.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
You look at yourself in the mirror every day and you can't deny it anymore. Your hair is not as thick as it used to be, and it's making you feel self-conscious. Hair Club is here to save the day. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair and feel confident again. No matter what stage of hair loss, they can help. Hair Club can customize a solution just for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today at hairclub.com/chase.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year.
It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Happy New Year and Happy New You from Houston Clinic Orthopedics, conveniently located where you live and work, with various locations in and around the Nashville area. Houston's physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and many other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they strictly adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. There was a little on-the-field news today for the Tennessee Titans. The NFL announced the international games for next season, and the Titans will be one of 5 teams participating in Europe. The Titans, Bills, and Jaguars will be playing in London, while the Chiefs and Patriots will play in Germany. Tennessee will play in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with opponent, day, and time to be determined. Other NFL teams are making coaching staff moves. The Ravens offensive coordinator Greg Roman is stepping down, and the Buccaneers are parting ways with OC Byron Leftwich. The Miami Dolphins have let go defensive coordinator Josh Boyer. The Nashville Predators are looking to build off 2 wins in a row as they are back at it tonight in St. Louis to take on the division rival Blues. The team announced forward Michael McCarron has been assigned to AHL Milwaukee. Puck drop tonight versus St. Louis is at 7, with pregame at 6 right here on the Preds Radio Network. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 1025 and 1063 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Tonight, your Nashville Predators take on the Blues in St. Louis. Coverage begins at 6 on your home for Smashville. WPRT FM Pegram, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, 1025 and 1063 The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Brought to you by Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. TD Power Hour time. Teron Davenport is with us. TD, good to see you. How are you?
Hey, man, it's good to be seen. How's it going?
Good, good, good. All right, TD, let's start with this. Number one order of business, your reaction to the Titans hiring Ran Carthon as general manager.
Yeah, I think it's a really good move just from what I've been told, just some of the research I've done and people I've reached out to. The good thing is his background, right? You look, he has 15 years in the scouting business and pro personnel and player personnel. So those are all positive things. And then on top of that, you look, he's a former player. That's something that I think will be good because that allows him to, kind of put himself in their shoes, having been there and done that. So I like the move, the collaboration part of it, the communicator that he is. Those are all really good things for this position.
What did you hear went down behind the scenes? Like, how did the Titans settle in on Ran Carthon? Because I think they had a lot of quality candidates that they interviewed.
Yeah, they had an awful lot of quality candidates. I mean, you look at Ian Cunningham, he was one of the guys that, I thought was really intriguing. But I mean, it went quickly, and they went about their way of getting these interviews done, figuring out who's going to make it to the second round, and that's how it happened. And I think from what I've been told, the collaboration part of it was something that they really liked about Rand Cunningham. Just the fact that that's something that he witnessed and he saw firsthand with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch.
Now, that being said, I mean, Kyle Shanahan has it in his contract that he has final say over the roster in San Francisco. I don't think either guy, and maybe we'll hear something different tomorrow, but I don't think we will. I don't think either guy between Vrabel or Rand Carthon are going to have the final say on the roster in their contracts. I ask you this. Do you think it will be as easy to play nice in the sandbox as everybody is making it out to be?
Well, I mean, it's a honeymoon stage right now, so of course everybody's going to say everything is great. But I think it's going to be a good situation, Justin. So we have Ben Troop, former Titans tight end and Florida Gator. He played ball with Rand at Florida, and we had him on Talking with TD this week, and he said that Rand is going to stand up to him, and he's going to be one to not back down. And that's something that Mike Vrabel will like and respect. So I think when you look at that, that's a good thing. And that lets me know that, these guys are grown. They'll be able to have a disagreement and rebound and work through it and not have it continuously be something personal.
See, I always think the thing is with who has final say or who did this or who did that it's only when things hit the fan that it becomes a problem. That it becomes he drafted that guy. That was his choice, not mine. When everybody wins, it's easy. It's like, oh, yeah, you did your job and you were great. You were great, too, coaching. You were great playing, so on and so forth. And I do think that in this, this coalition between the two of them, one guy's walking in with 7 losses in a row and the other guy's not. And I do think that's a factor here, TD.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. I mean, that's something that you have to look at because, there are two different sides to it. And you also have to look at the fact that because something just happened, right? They didn't win this year. And look what happened. Somebody got fired. So obviously it's all about how the relationships work in the rain, and in order to make it work when things are good, you have to be able to get through those tough times to get to the good ones.
So I can look at the 49ers roster, TD, and I can see wow, the 49ers have a really good team. The 49ers draft really, really well with guys like Fred Warner and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and these later round picks that end up not just becoming good players, but legitimately becoming superstars. And that's great. Rand Carthon's fourth in command over at the 49ers. When you talk to people behind the scenes, how much of a role do you hear that he has had in the buildup of that 49er program?
Well, a lot of those late round picks, the George Kittles, the Dre Greenlaws, the Fred Warners, those type, a lot of that came from work that he and that staff did. So I'm not saying they give him direct credit for it, but they say he was heavily involved in those decisions. And then you look at Kyle Juszczyk, the free agent that they signed from the Ravens, the fullback that's come in and been a key part. He was a big part of that too. So those are moves that, I'm not going to say are solely on him, but I've been told that he had a lot to do with it.
What are you looking forward to hearing from him about at the press conference tomorrow?
My main thing is just what makes him feel he's so confident that he and Vrabel could work it out. But then I also want to get some of the inside stories or knowledge of how that Shanahan and Lynch situation worked so well. And it's something that he said he watched firsthand, and he said it really was the key to their success.
Do you think that those are the things that they'll give away tomorrow? I feel like those guys get so guarded. It'll all be about, hey, we want to have a tough team. We believe in each other. We're going to work hard together. We're going to evaluate as well as anybody. You know what I mean? And I wonder how in-depth he'll get. Like when it comes to the collaboration with Vrabel, I'm sure that he's got a political answer, and that's all we're going to get tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he's a little more real than that. Just and listening to him, on a couple of the podcasts that I heard him on, he was authentic. So I don't know that we're going to get all coach speak, and I think really this is going to be his first opportunity to explain why he thinks the relationship works. So I think that he's going to give a thorough answer, and we'll get a good understanding of what he likes about this relationship, what it can be. But as far as the stuff that he saw with John Lynch and Shanahan, I don't think that he loses anything by saying, hey, look, this is how I saw these guys work together. This is how I want Mike and I to work together. I don't think he loses anything from saying that.
Mm-hmm. What do you make of the way the interview process went down, where the Titans interviewed Malik Boyd on Tuesday for the first time, but they had already interviewed other people and had second interviews, and 2 hours after they announced that they had the Malik Boyd interview done, they end up hiring Rand Carthon. I mean, the way that it all went down for me, as it was going down in live time, it felt like the Brian Daboll, Brian Flores, Bill Belichick, hey, congratulations, you got the Giants job. Coach, I'm interviewing for the job tomorrow. Like, that's how it felt to me in live time. What'd you make of it?
I make of it something totally different. I think they understood they had to move fast. They had the Cunningham and Carthon interviews, and they had the second one set up because I feel those guys impressed them that much, and Cowden as well. And then the Malik Boyd one happened when it did. And I think they had an idea going into the Malik Boyd one that they wanted to hire Rand Carthon. But I feel as though even if they wanted to hire him, it still would have been doing Boyd an injustice by not giving him that interview, giving him that shot to wow them. So I don't see anything wrong with that process. They just said, hey, look, this guy's going to really have to knock our socks off for us to move from him to Carthon. So it's just giving him a chance.
Do we know if Rand Carthon starts tomorrow, or is he still with the 49ers throughout the Super Bowl?
That's going to be something we can ask him tomorrow. And I would imagine he gets right to work because, look, they're behind the 8 ball already as it is as far as finding, an offensive coordinator. And then you have the combine and all of that stuff coming up. I mean, obviously, Rand did his homework, right? He's up to speed on all the prospects, but he doesn't have the same scouts that he had there in San Francisco. So he has to get on the same page with all of these scouts here that are going to remain. And that's another good thing to ask him, what his staff is going to look like. So I would imagine he gets to work right away.
Isn't the Senior Bowl the weekend between the Super Bowl and the conference championship games?
It is, yes. And one note at the Senior Bowl, Charles London, the Falcons quarterback coach, who is someone that the Titans reached out to, he's going to be the offensive coordinator on one of the teams.
So you would have to assume that when Rand Carthon goes to the Senior Bowl, it will be to scout for the Titans. I mean, that would be crazy for him to go scout for the 49ers and come back.
Of course.
So
of course, you're not gonna do a promo for that other station, right?
No.
Exactly.
They'd get fired there. It's like these SEC coaches. They go show up at your house in February. Now they show up in your house in December and say, Auburn is the best school in the country. And then they show up in February. Mississippi State is the best school in the country. So on and so forth. TD's with us. Coming up next, what is the first order of business as far as Rand Carthon is concerned after his press conference tomorrow, and the juicy drama at quarterback, not just here, but San Francisco? We'll get TD's thoughts on that next. It's the TD Power Hour, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Your home for MTSU basketball is 94.9 The Fan.
3 ball, yes sir!
All the big shots and moments live here. MTSU basketball is on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan.
Welcome to Smashville, home of the biggest hits in hockey and the loudest parties on Broadway. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, January 21st as your Nashville Predators take on the Los Angeles Kings. Plus, it's yoga night in Smashville, so purchase your theme night tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/tickets to receive a special Preds branded yoga towel at the game. Don't miss the game Saturday, January 21st, and don't miss Tuesday, January 24th as your Predators take on the Winnipeg Jets. Let's go Preds!
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals, in addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses. We will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the game at 615-737-1025.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Trey Lance Instagram post with a picture of Rand Carthon and fingers crossed emojis cascading.
Why? Why would you do that?
upwardly.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
What does he think everybody's going to think, even if he doesn't, even if there's something else behind this? What does he think everybody's going to think? Why?
What would your fingers be crossed for?
Right. I don't know. I hope it works out for him. I mean, right? Other than that, it seems like your fingers are crossed because you're going, I hope he takes me to Tennessee. Why? Right now? Your team's in the divisional round, right? You're not doing anything. Put that picture out and say, good luck, Rand, period. Like, why? It frustrates me with current players at times with these cryptic social media messages that are distractions.
Chris Sims all worked up about Trey Lance's Instagram story. TD's with us for the TD Power Hour. TD, I said yesterday when it came to Pro Football Talk making a big story out of that, I said even for me, that's a stretch. And you know that if even for me it's a stretch, you know it must be on Neptune as far as the Trey Lance Instagram story.
Yeah, definitely. If you're not going to buy into it, because that last segment before I came on was a series of conspiracy stuff. So you're the conspiracy king when it comes to that. But it's just ridiculous. I think he was sending a message to his friend. I don't see what the big deal is. And, to be frank, it's a bigger deal to this guy than it is to half the people that it actually matters to. And that's the ones in the locker room. They don't care about that stuff. So he is sitting at home doing nothing, but guess why? It's because he had a season-ending injury. And it's ironic that this guy is saying that because he had a season-ending injury himself. So Chris Sims needed to just be quiet because he's just speaking completely out of context, and it's not necessary.
Well, I saw the crossed fingers emoji, and, I'm not young anymore, so I had to text Caroline, and I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, it means good luck. I was like, oh, okay, big deal there. But I will say this. I do believe if San Francisco wins this weekend against Dallas, that the horse will have officially left the barn on the future quarterback of the 49ers, and it will be Brock Purdy. And I do think the first order of business for Rand Carthon, TD, is to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. It almost feels like they have an option on Tannehill more so than they've got Tannehill right now, and it's their option. What do you make of kind of the first order of business, and is it the quarterback position with Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, well, first off, I mean, if they win this game and go to the NFC Championship game, I don't know that it's something that you automatically say Purdy is the guy. It's not going to be the first time a guy had a really good stretch at quarterback for the 49ers. You could check C.J. Beathard. You could check Nick Mullins. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo. He parlayed it into a $100 million contract, and guess what they ended up doing to a couple years into it. Moved up to get Trey Lance. So I don't know that he'll be available. If he is, obviously that's something you look into. But me personally, I feel like you look at the order of operations, quarterback is a really important thing that they have to get determined, because that's something that whoever signs on to be offensive coordinator is going to want to know. Okay, who's throwing the ball for me? You want to know that. So I think that's something that they'll have to get worked out, and I think Tannehill becomes the guy. He remains the guy. They extend him, but next year is the year where I would really strongly look into moving up, move heaven and earth, like I said before, to get Caleb Williams, because he's that guy.
I actually heard that a lot of teams are looking at this quarterback class with Stroud and Young and maybe Levis, and I don't know anything about evaluating quarterbacks, that apparently next year's class is so much better at quarterback that teams may trade out of this year's first round to trade into next year's first round to give themselves more picks, so if they want to, they can move up. I know you probably haven't really dug into it like you normally do around draft time, but would you say that that's an accurate assessment of the quarterback market over the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's an accurate assessment, because I think you have Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, but a guy nobody talks about is Anthony Richardson, who I mean, he has Cam Newton-like potential. So I think you have to look at that. I'm not sure that the Titans should go at 11, but you look at Rand Carthon's Twitter timeline. He compared him to Tim Tebow. So obviously, the former Gator, there's probably going to be a little bias there, but I mean, that's somebody. But I think you look at next year, I mean, just starting with Caleb Williams from the jump, that guy, and I mean, you got Spencer Rattler that'll be in the mix as well. So, there's a bunch of quarterbacks next year. This class is top heavy, if you ask me.
What do you think about the Drake May kid from North Carolina?
Yeah, he's another interesting one. And watching the Carolina receiver a lot, there's some plays that he made that stood out too. So that's another one that's going to be up there for sure.
What do you think as far as the Derrick Henry front? Vrabel incredibly non-committal about Derrick Henry after the season. Derrick Henry says on Taylor Lewan's podcast, hey, they could cut me. And I know this. I know that Rand Carthon was a running back and Rand Carthon's dad was a running back, or really a fullback, but Rand Carthon's dad might have been one of the best running back coaches in the NFL, and Maurice Carthon, I can't imagine that Rand Carthon would get here and say, let's get rid of one of the 2 or 3 best running backs in the NFL. Where do you think they are on the Derrick Henry front?
Yeah, and then you also have to look at where he came from, right? This is a guy that saw Todd Gurley come in and have an impact. And then he saw what the 49ers did running the football. So, and mind you, he was involved in that trade to acquire a running back in Christian McCaffrey. So I think, Derrick Henry being around is something that I would put a very high percentage on. And maybe after next year, he may not be around, but I think this upcoming season he's going to be there. And that's the last thing that I would be concerned about if I was Rand Carthon.
Do you think that he will address that tomorrow? Or do you think that, like Vrabel did after the season, he'll sidestep it too, as far as Tannehill and Henry commitments for next season are concerned?
I think to ask him to give an assessment on what he wants to do is actually unfair. The man will have probably been in the building maybe 2 or 3 hours, and it's something that I saw them do on Monty Ossenfort's on his interview, and it's like Bidwell stepped in and was like, "Hey, man, the guy just got here. Like, let's not, get too far ahead of things." And obviously, he had a plan, in the interview process, but I don't think that he's going to reveal anything coming up tomorrow. I think that's something that we'll be able to revisit at the combine for sure.
Do you think they can fix the offensive line in one offseason?
Yes, I definitely do. You've heard me multiple times, Andre Dillard, you go out and get him as your left tackle, right? This puts you in a position to where you don't absolutely have to go left tackle in Paris Johnson Jr. at pick 11. You can still do that. There's nothing wrong with that, but you could also, have other options. So I think the first thing is do that. I think you resign Nate Davis, the center position. Aaron Brewer is a guy that you could move over to center. Corey Levin, actually, they seem to be very impressed with him. So, you could get by with those guys if you have to. And then the left guard position, you could always get guards, quality guards in the draft. I don't want to say a dime a dozen, but there's a lot of them in drafts that you could get, and this year is no different.
What do you make of the biggest need that Rand Carthon, or what do you think as he sits down tomorrow, right? Like after he has his press conference, he's sitting in his office. What do you think he thinks the biggest need for his team is going to be?
Biggest need for his team is going to be, I think, that offensive line. That's the biggest thing, and especially for the style of football they want to play, you have to have the offensive line together.
What do you think about the receivers and what he could do given what we've seen with the San Francisco receivers?
Yeah, that's tough. You look at the San Francisco receivers, they used the first-round pick on Brandon Ayuk. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Deebo Samuel was a second-round pick. I felt he was a first-round talent. But they did pluck Juwan Jennings from the 6th round. So I think it's pretty clear, like they'll be able to, dig deep and find somebody. But the real thing comes at the top half of it, and that's with Robert Woods. What are you going to do there? Do you cut him to save that money and maybe, sign a Nelson Aguilar who could give you similar production at half the cost? Do you do that? Do you go out and get a Mecole Hardman from the Chiefs? That gives you a speed option. Do you do that? But that's another reason why I think it's important to sign Andre Dillard, because that puts you at 11. If Paris Johnson Jr. is there and Quentin Johnson is there, you can say, okay, what do we want to do? Rather than say, man, we have to address the O-line. Paris Johnson, the guy high on our board, let's take him. And then also you put yourself in a position to where it's not obvious that you're going to take Paris Johnson if he's there at 11. So that could make teams, not be as likely to jump up in front of you to 10 or 9, especially, with the Eagles at 10. Howie Roseman is a wheeler and dealer, so he'll have his phone off the hook ready to answer calls.
TD is with us. Get your questions in for TD at 615-737-1025, and we'll hit them like we always do at the end of the hour. Plus, what do we make of the crumbs that we are finding out about the Titans' offensive coordinator search, and what does TD make of that now that we've moved past GM? We'll get to that with TD coming up next. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. The NFL playoffs are heating up, and with FanDuel, every play is a rush. New customers join today so you can bet the divisional round with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with the promo code JGM. I am just going to tell you guys, hammer the Chiefs this weekend, because I think the Chiefs are going to beat the crap out of Jacksonville. I will be ashamed of myself if Kansas City doesn't do that. America's #1 sportsbook has all of your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. And plus, with FanDuel, you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with the promo code JGM. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is not withdrawable free bets. Expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 1025, The Game.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a ½ carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Attention furniture buyers. Shop Social Furniture's huge blowout sale now. Thousands of items are marked down in all departments. Many prices are slashed up to 70% off. Now is the time to buy your new furniture at Social Furniture's huge blowout sale. Our professional staff will assist you with your purchase. We have same-day delivery and setup by experienced furniture installers. Don't wait. Buy today with up to 60-month special financing and no money down. Shop Social Furniture's huge blowout sale. Now through Monday on Charlotte Avenue in Nashville. Save, 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 save.
Laying waste to your town. Mastodon. Gojira. The Mega Monsters Tour. May 2nd at Nashville Municipal Auditorium. With special guest, Lord Ashore. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com. Total sensory overload. Mastodon and Gojira. TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Penny Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC. On your home for TSU basketball, 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Now, Tim Kelly's a little different. He's only been here a year. So he has some things that he could say. Hey, I wouldn't have done it this way. I would have done it this way. Moving forward, maybe the moving forward type thing. This is how I see this.
But see, that pisses me off too, because then I'm like, why didn't you just hire him and fire Downing last year?
Well, that's a different question. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about from Kelly's perspective. Kelly's perspective is, he was the pass game coordinator, and he, I'm sure he had a lot of ideas. And there's only one ultimate play caller on game day, and that was Downing. And the process in and of itself from Monday through Saturday night going into Sunday could have been great. I mean, I've been a part of those teams. I would say the team that I was a part of this year, our process was outstanding. How we approached things, the work together, the communal attack, and everybody working together and doing their job within the framework of the defensive staff. But on Saturdays, we just didn't get the product that we'd hoped. And maybe Tim, again, the relationship piece between Tim Kelly and Mike Vrabel is clearly there. The relationship piece between Tim Kelly and Charles London is clearly there. And I think that there's like I said, I think there's a comfort level with Coach Vrabel moving forward with those people.
That was Coach Bob Shoop earlier this week talking about the offensive coordinator. TD, we get a couple of crumbs here that the Titans reached out to Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy. Like, Eric Bieniemy is going to come be the offensive coordinator of the Titans. But We got those crumbs. Then we got the crumb about the Titans either interviewed Charles London of the Falcons, their quarterback coach, or planned to interview Charles London. I don't know specifically, semantically which one was which. So reading the tea leaves, TD, how do you feel about the offensive coordinator position?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Charles London is an intriguing option. He's a running back coach with the Bears, and you saw some guys have some good success there. So obviously running the football is important. And then the familiarity standpoint from having worked with Arthur Smith in Atlanta for the season. And then in addition to that, their ties, back to previous days. So there's a comfort level there. I think, another guy that I would look at is Justin Alton. That's another one where there's, clear ties just as far as the type of scheme. Well, he's the Broncos. He was the Broncos OC. He was their interim after with Hackett, who was Nathaniel Hackett is another option also. But yeah, he would come over from Denver, and we know that staff has been replaced.
Do you believe that Mike Vrabel will go outside of the Mike Vrabel comfort zone in order to hire an offensive coordinator when over the years we've seen Vrabel really lean on that comfort zone?
I could see him going out of that comfort zone. I can, just after seeing what happened this past, couple of years. But I really think it goes back to Tim Kelly. I would be surprised if Tim Kelly doesn't get the job, to be honest with you. I would be very surprised. And I understand that he's an option, but you have to remember, his last year in Houston wasn't the best. And obviously he didn't have a lot to work with, but it wasn't the best. So, that's something that I'm sure he's going to weigh into things. I think, Nathaniel Hackett, in my opinion, is the one that I would look at, just to be honest with you. And I know he was a wreck there in Denver as a head coach, but there was a reason why he got the head coaching job. You know why? Because he was a darn good play caller with the Packers. So that's where I would go. I think that would be your quickest turnaround.
People need to get out of this mindset that because somebody was crazy as a head coach doesn't mean that they were a bad coordinator, because almost every head coach was a good coordinator at some point, except for Vrabel, or else they wouldn't get a head coaching job. And
yeah.
And
that's exactly the case. And the head coaching job is different from the coordinator. You have to orchestrate so many things. You got to be the CEO. You have to make sure that your message is clear and concise and constant throughout the whole organization. And that's just something that Hackett wasn't able to do. But as a play caller, yeah, he was legit.
300 yards in an AFC championship game with Blake Bortles as a play caller for Nathaniel Hackett. I do have a conspiracy theory for you, TD. Are you ready for it?
I knew you would. Always.
All right, here you go. Tim Kelly gets promoted from passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator. Charles London comes in as the passing game coordinator. Todd Downing goes to the Atlanta Falcons as their quarterback coach.
Yeah, I heard you mention this. Todd Downing obviously has experience working with quarterbacks. You look at Derek Carr. He played quarterback at a low level. I can see that happening. And obviously the familiarity with Art Smith, with Coach Art. I think if you have Charles London come here as a pass game coordinator, that's a step up for him. And also you have your guy in the waiting, because here's the thing that you have to wonder about. And it's something that I asked Mike Vrabel about twice, right? Originally, when he was going through the first OC process, he brought up loyalty, and he brought up, having guys who don't have their own agenda and not looking to up themselves at the expense of the team, et cetera. And then I asked him again about that. And I think that's something you have to look at. And I'm not saying an OC coming in here or Tim Kelly getting the job and looking to, get a head coaching job is wrong. You should do that. You always want to ascend to a higher level. But I think that's something that they have to keep in mind. And I think, when you look at Tim Kelly, if he turns things around, you're going to be in another situation to where you have to go from Arthur Smith to someone else in the staff. Mm-hmm. And I think, going from Tim Kelly to Charles London, you'll have that familiarity there because he'll be a pass game coordinator, and that should be a seamless move.
And I remember, and you may have asked the question, TD, during training camp, but there was a question asked of Vrabel about why was Tim Kelly with the tight ends? And Vrabel said, well, Matt LaFleur had Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith had Todd Downing. Yeah. And so now, and I don't think that's any knock on Luke Steckel, because I know both the Titans and Arthur with the Falcons have a lot of respect for Luke Steckel, the tight ends coach. But it was kind of like, that guy was basically like the backup or the assistant to the offensive coordinator. And I think that Vrabel would probably want to keep it like that. And if Vrabel was telling the truth there, that Arthur had Todd, then it would be seamless for Todd to go work with Arthur in Atlanta.
Yeah, no, it definitely would be seamless for him to go work with them. So, that's something you obviously have to look at. I think, it all makes sense. And that's one of the ones where you read the tea leaves and, yeah, I could see that.
One thing I think that people don't understand that is a humongous deal, who is going to be the offensive line coach? I think offensive line, the coach, I think offensive and defensive line coaches might be the two most important coaches after your coordinators because of how important technique is and how hard it is to coach them when you can't wear pads anymore, TD. And I've seen some great offensive line coaches for the Titans, and I've seen some terrible offensive line coaches for the Titans. Where do you think they are on offensive line coach, and just how big of a deal is that to you?
The thing that's really interesting about that is that's the one position where they have two assistants. Mm-hmm. You had Coach Keith Carter, Coach Mike Sullivan, Coach Sully, and you have Coach Hardelang, who came over from Wagner University. He was a head coach there. And I would watch them. I love the way Coach Sullivan is a technician, and he's not one that's going to ride him or anything like that. He's just going to go out there and he's going to teach you. Then you got Coach Hardelang. He's the energy guy. He brings the energy. So I think whoever comes in is going to have two really sound assistants to work with. I feel the offensive line position is critical because if you have a good offensive line coach, you could go out and you could get a guard in the 5th round, right? And he could work his way into being a starter in year one and be a quality starter, because of that developmental aspect. So I will say this, I saw the importance of an offensive line coach and when I was in Philly and even in Baltimore, with Coach Jeff Stoutland and before him, Coach Juan, I forget his last name, but Coach Juan, he was the O-line coach there in Baltimore. But, with Stoutland, Jordan Mailata, I just watched him just continuously get worked into place and become a quality offensive lineman. So I'm big on having a really good coach in that position. And you win games, offensively, that's where it starts, man, in those trenches. Like, I could run the best route possible. And my quarterback won't be able to get me the ball because there's not time to do it. So you got to get that position right.
If you were Vrabel, would you go to Amy Adams Strunk and ask, can we, because she'd have to be a part of this too, can we try to go get Mike Munchak back? Because, Dave Campo got fired as coach of the Cowboys and later came back as a secondary coach. It's not completely unheard of, but Mike Munchak was a former head coach here. He's a Hall of Famer here. But, man, Mike Munchak's a good offensive line coach, and the Titans could use him.
Yeah, I remember you talked about him last Thursday. Hey, listen, you know what? That's a part of being a really good CEO, right? You put people in position that will make you look good, right? And you give them an opportunity to shine. And what better way to do that than getting him? So that's something, yeah, I would definitely look at that. I don't know that they're going to do that, but it's something that I would consider if I was Mike Vrabel.
All right, phones for TD, get them in. 615-737-1025. We are right to you. Again, the press conference tomorrow. Rand Carthon, TD will be there asking the questions. We will get your phones for TD next. 615-737-1025, Stillman & Company, 1025, 106 through the game.
185!
Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The playoffs are in full swing, and Electronic Express is bringing you show-stopping deals. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, TCL, Hisense, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Get big game ready in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Third and Home is Germantown's bar with a ballpark. Overlooking the Nashville Sounds, you can have the best seats in the house when baseball season returns March 31st. Pro tip, stop by before the game to watch batting practice from the patio and enjoy happy hour food and drink specials. The mouth-watering menu at Third and Home includes signature items such as wings, stuffed breadsticks, classic burgers, and hot chicken and waffles. Third and Home is open Wednesday through Sunday at 11 a.m. Visit thirdandhome.com.
Meet Joe A, hi, Joe B, hello, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
They're insightful.
To me, you got a left guard situation you got to figure out.
Credible.
I trust this guy more than this guy.
But sometimes they just argue.
Why do you like the NFL playoffs? Those teams lose.
I don't want college football to be the NFL.
When they get...
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, TD Power Hour. Teron Davenport with us to your phones as promised. 615-737-1025. And our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Bob, you're going to kick us off on the offensive coordinator. You're on with Teron Davenport. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, guys. How are y'all today?
Good.
Hey, question. I know everybody's kind of shooting down Bieniemy, but I'm curious real quick. Bieniemy, I think one reason he hadn't gotten a job is because everybody claims that Andy Reid calls all the plays, and that's why he really hasn't got a head coach position. Why would he not consider coming and working for Vrabel, who 2 of the last 3 coordinators are now head coaches?
Thank you, Bob.
I think that would
That's a good point, and a lot of people do say he doesn't call the plays, but there are plenty. I believe it's the second half he calls plays. So there are plenty of times you see them span the camera over to the sideline, and he has the menu sheet over his face calling the play. So he definitely calls plays, but I think making the move to the Titans would make sense for a couple reasons. It'll get him a chance to show that he could turn an offense around, but most importantly, it'll give him an opportunity to show that he could be a full-time play caller.
You think that Vrabel was really serious, though, placing those calls to Bieniemy and Matt Nagy?
Yeah. I mean, why would what do you get out of doing that just for jokes? I think he was definitely serious about doing that.
So Coach Shoup thinks that they did that as like a way to kind of pick the brain of, then I guess Belichick does that a lot where they'll interview people they're not going to hire just to pick their brains. And that's why Matt Nagy didn't call him back, because it's like, no, I'm not going to play that game. And I just don't see Vrabel, especially now hiring a general manager from the Shanahan, group, changing the system, to go to the very successful Andy Reid system.
Well, this is where I think it's wrong. Just because this is a general manager that came from the San Francisco, with the Shanahan system, it doesn't mean he's going to automatically implement that. You got to remember that the scheme and everything originates with the coach. Mm-hmm. The general manager, his job is to identify, and this is something that Rand Carthon said was really good about the relationship that the front office and the coaching staff had. They identified what the coaching staff wanted to do and found the players to work accordingly. The OC position, that's Vrabel. Vrabel's picking his staff. I fully believe that's Mike Vrabel's decision. So Rand Carthon's, ideology and belief offensively, I don't think is going to be the end-all, be-all on what they do OC-wise.
Kinston says, TD, if we cut the assumed players everyone thinks the Titans will cut, would you add Tannehill to the list to get close to $63 million in cap space? I think, Kinston says, we should take the Eagles approach and build around Malik Willis or Josh Dobbs as much as they can, and if Malik Willis takes off, great. If he doesn't, then the Titans will be in position to draft one of the top guys in 2024.
Yeah, no, he makes sense there as far as being in position to take a Caleb Williams. You know what I mean? If you're in a top 10 pick, it's much easier to move up to one than if you're picking, 20-something. So I get that, and that'll give you a chance to see what you really have in Dobbs and Willis. But I don't think that Mike Vrabel would be willing to do that, and I don't blame him for not being willing to do that, because if things really hit the fan, there's a good chance that he could be gone. So I don't think he's going to – and plus, look, he's not trying to lose games, so I think Tannehill is back.
Plus, not only that, to the point about, if it hits the fan or losing games I think Vrabel's a great coach, but I was stunned they fired John Robinson. So if they're going to do that, everybody could be on the table if things don't go well. And That was kind of the message I got from the firing of Robinson, and I think Vrabel probably picked up on the message too. Texter says, if the Titans go wide receiver at 11, TD, do you think that Burks and the kid Quentin Johnston from TCU are too much alike? Would you rather have Jordan Addison? What do you think of the wide receivers at the top of this draft as far as the 11th pick is concerned?
I tell you what, I love Jordan Addison. That's a smooth wide receiver right there. I know his receiver coach, Brendan Marion, from when they were at Pittsburgh together, when he won the Blitnikoff Award. I think Quentin Johnston is the best receiver in this draft. I think because of what he brings. There are similar things to Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks is more of a muscle type of receiver, in the Alshon Jeffrey mode, whereas Quentin Johnston, I think, I'm not saying finesse like it's soft. I'm just saying finesse like graceful, and he's a guy that's big, and you could throw that back shoulder to him, but he also will get you yards after the catch, and he is, I think, more of a vertical threat than Burks is. But I think even if two Treylon Burks wouldn't be a bad thing, you know what I mean? But you have those two together with Kyle Phillips working the slot, I think you got something going, and obviously with Chig Okonkwo.
So last night I had nothing to watch on TV, so I was watching 49ers games to see just when Trey Lance played, just to see what that looked like. And the one thing I'll say about just Deebo Samuel is I think everybody wanted to compare Burks to AJ. I think Burks' game is more like Deebo's. You know what I mean?
And I don't see that. I think Deebo is much more dangerous after the catch. But I mean, look, Burks, my comp for him is Alshon Jeffrey, and that's not a bad comp. You know what I mean? And I think when you look at catching that slant, getting the yards after the catch there, being a basketball player on the perimeter, like going up and getting the alley-oop dunks, on the back shoulder throws, I think those are all things that those guys are very similar. Deebo is just, I don't know that you could compare anybody to Deebo because he's just so good once he gets the ball in his hands, and he is an actual, like he could play running back if you asked him to.
Although the Titans did ask Burks to run the ball more than they asked AJ, I think that might have just been to get it in his hands, though. TD, I do have one follow-up off that question about the receivers in the draft. What's more important to you? A compliment to Burks or the best overall receiver, period, into discussion?
I think you need to get the best overall receiver, period. A guy that could come in here and Burks, he has potential to be a number one, a lead receiver, but there's nothing wrong with having two. Nothing whatsoever. So if you could get another guy that could be that one, Jackson Smith-Njigba is very interesting. Obviously, as you mentioned, Jordan Addison, you got Josh Downs a little bit later, who has that potential as well. So, I mean, there's a bunch of guys, man. Jalen Hyatt, Tennessee, I don't think would be a one, but he's that guy that will stretch the field immensely. So you got that. I mean, this draft is deep, man. Cedric Tillman, I think, gives you size from the slot position. So, I mean, we could go on and on talking about receivers, man. There's a bunch of them, and you get that every year now because of just the way football is, from the developmental stages on up.
I could see Jalen Hyatt going with the last pick in the first round of the Chiefs. Like, I could see the Chiefs just saying, give us Jalen Hyatt, and Jalen, go as far as you can. TD's with us. Texter says, TD, since the Titans went outside the organization with the GM hire, do you think they should do the same with the OC and eliminate Tim Kelly from the discussion?
No, I definitely wouldn't eliminate Tim Kelly from the discussion. I wouldn't go outside of it just to go outside. I think they should look at all options, to be honest with you. And the fact that they did go outside from the GM perspective, it shows that they will be willing to, get a fresh new idea or set of eyes in the offense. So I think that at this point you keep all options open. There's 10 OC positions available.
Texter says, TD, what do you think the Titans should do to address the outside linebacker position opposite Harold Landry?
Well, I think you have a quality starter, caliber player, in my opinion, in Rashad Weaver that can continue to develop. This draft, I mean, you look at, B.J. Ojulari, he's a guy that, let's say you decide, right, hey, look, we're going to move off of 11. We got a really good offer. And you move down into the teens or high 20s. There you go. That's a guy that could come in and be impactful. So there's options, out there that you could go. But I think Rashad Weaver should come in as your starter, and that's obviously provided you move on from Bud Dupree.
TD, great stuff as always for the TD Power Hour. And I know talking with TD, I know because I saw it in there when I went in there earlier today. Ben Troop, former Titans tight end, played at Florida with Ran Carthon, Chris Sanders, and, of course, your reaction to the Ran Carthon hire as well. All on this week's edition of Talking with TD. Did I miss anything?
No, you got it. Yes, sir.
There you go. TD, as always, great stuff. We will see you tomorrow at the press conference introducing Ran Carthon.
I appreciate it. Looking forward to that, no doubt.
Yep, TD joining us on the program. And that press conference will come your way tomorrow at noon. And the midday show, Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace will have that for you in its entirety. I will be there. And coming up next, the questions that I think Ran Carthon has got to answer tomorrow. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The National Wild Turkey Federation is celebrating 50 years of conservation delivery during this year's Convention and Sports Show, set for February 16th through 18th at Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Come celebrate the golden anniversary with members, volunteers, partners, and countless outdoor enthusiasts. You can expect the same great nightly events, quality entertainment in the watering hole, and the latest gear from more than 450 companies featured in their exhibit hall. For more info, go to nwtf.org.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Losing your hair? It's Chase McCabe. No matter your age, gender, or type of hair loss, it's never a good feeling when you see too much hair on your brush or you begin to notice bald spots. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 members get hair they love. If you're affected by hair loss and not sure what to do, let Hair Club help customize a solution for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today and get started at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. There was a little on-the-field news today for the Tennessee Titans. The NFL announced the international games for next season, and the Titans will be one of 5 teams participating in Europe. The Titans, Bills, and Jaguars will be playing in London, while the Chiefs and Patriots will play in Germany. Tennessee will play in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with opponent, day, and time to be determined. Other NFL teams are making coaching staff moves. The Ravens offensive coordinator Greg Roman is stepping down, and the Buccaneers are parting ways with OC Byron Leftwich. The Miami Dolphins have let go defensive coordinator Josh Boyer. The Nashville Predators are looking to build off 2 wins in a row as they are back at it tonight in St. Louis to take on the division rival Blues. The team announced forward Michael McCarron has been assigned to AHL Milwaukee. Puck drop tonight versus St. Louis is at 7, with pregame at 6 right here on the Preds Radio Network. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you You have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. 1 hour from now, we will have our Preds Caucus. That's what I'm going to call it. An hour of Preds talk at 5 o'clock, and we got some big topics to discuss. Why you give me that look like that?
Oh, I'm just on the search for some stuff.
Oh, well, I said Preds Caucus, and your eyes went huge, and I was
No,
like,
sorry, I'm looking for our numbers here.
Oh, okay. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, Ian's eyes popped up at this Preds Caucus, and, I mean, look, it is what it is, but we will address that in 1 hour. Tomorrow at noon, new Titans general manager Rand Carthon will have his introductory press conference. We will have that live and in its entirety right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Now, what happens is at these introductory press conferences is, you know, Rand Carthon's family will be there. All the owners of the Titans will be there. All the big wigs will be there. And those people will clap when they bring him out there. And then he will, you know, somebody will introduce him. Probably Berg Nihill, the team president and CEO. I have no idea. But after they introduce him, then he'll get up there and he'll talk about his vision for the team. You know, we are going to be dedicated. We are going to work hard. We are going to be smart. We are going to draft great players. You know, all that kind of stuff. Now, I can't speak for him because, again, those are his words, not mine, that he's going to be saying. But I think there are some very important questions that must be asked and must be asked directly of the new Titans general manager tomorrow. And we start off at the top with what I think is probably the most important question for Rand Carthon.
Number one.
What happens if there is a disagreement between he and Mike Vrabel? I get it. It's very easy to say, oh, we'll find a way. We'll work it out. It'll be great. We won't have any problems like that. Trust me. And yet, how many of you all are married? And in your marriage, how many of you all have disagreements? And how does that normally play out? When you got married, did you sit there and say, hey, when we have disagreements, you know, I'm going to be the one that decides what we're going to do? I don't know. But it should be addressed on the front end. There should be a prenuptial agreement that says, okay, if we cannot come to terms on something, this is what's going to happen, or else it's going to become every man for himself, and that's bad. And let me just say this. I have to believe that the disagreements between Vrabel and Carthon, no matter how big or how small, they will be inevitable, that there will be disagreements. So what happens if there is a disagreement? I don't expect him to answer it. I think he'll sidestep it. I think he's probably practicing tonight, but that to me I think is the most important question.
Number two.
What does he think of Ryan Tannehill? You can't ask him about other quarterbacks like Derek Carr or Tom Brady or Lamar Jackson because those guys are under contract with other teams. Even though their contracts are set to expire, or in the case of Carr, he's going to be released, or in the case of Jackson, he's playing on the franchise tag or will play on the franchise tag, they are currently under contract for the 2022 season for which we are still in until the start of the new league year. So you can't ask him about new quarterbacks. You can't ask him about draft quarterbacks because you don't know who's going to be available with the 11th overall pick. So he's going to sit there and say, I have no idea who's going to be there. The question is Tannehill. Tannehill is their quarterback as of right now. The Titans control his rights for next season. The Titans essentially have a $27 million option on Ryan Tannehill. And they can choose to take it or not. My guess, and I heard TD say this in the last hour, about, hey, I just got here. It's my first day on the job. I mean, I don't know what to say right now. My guess is that's probably what we're going to get. But in reality, you don't think he explained exactly what he thought about the quarterback situation of the Titans when he interviewed for the job? You don't think that question came up with Amy Adams Strunk? I'm sure it did. He may not tell us. Again, he gets to choose what he wants to tell us and what he doesn't. But I think that's the second most important thing, is what does he think about the quarterback of the Titans?
Number 3.
Does he think he can win a Super Bowl with a team built around Derrick Henry? You know, you turn on the TV, anytime the Titans lose a game, you turn on the TV and it's, you can't win with a team built with a running back. And yet when the Titans beat Kansas City last year, or they beat the Rams on Sunday Night Football without Henry, in which the defense played great, or they beat the Bills on Monday Night Football, why do I never turn on the TV and see you can win a championship with a running back? I don't know. I don't know what people in the league think. Do people think that you can win a championship with a team built around Derrick Henry, with a good defense, a solid quarterback, good players around the quarterback, and a star running back? I do know this. I know his team that I think might be the best in the NFL right now, they traded a bunch of picks in order to get Christian McCaffrey. So does he think you can win win a Super Bowl with a team that's built around Derrick Henry?
Number 4.
Can he fix the offensive line in one offseason? There is a chance the Titans will need to replace 4 of their 5 starters. Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, I did not think had a very impressive rookie season, but you could convince me that he can start next year. Other than that, Ben Jones is old and concussed and injured, and who knows if he comes back. Nate Davis is a free agent. Chad Forbes put out there the other day that he believes Nate Davis is the top free agent on the market. You want to pay Nate Davis $18 million next season? Thought so. They got to fix left guard, 276 pounds, not going to cut it. Taylor Lewan's going to be released at left tackle. With all of that, can you fix this offensive line in one offseason?
Number 5.
Which player on the 49ers? This is a very fascinating question for me as far as Ran Carthon's concerned tomorrow. Which player on the 49ers was he most proud of being a part of acquiring? And the reason I ask that question is because he may say, oh, every player was a special player, or he may give us insight into how he operated within that structure. I mean, I love the 49ers, and everything I've heard about Ran Carthon is good. We won't know until he starts drafting and those players get put out there, whether or not he's a good talent evaluator or a good GM. But he is currently 4th in command in San Francisco. And I'm not trying to put him down, but Kyle Shanahan's 1, John Lynch is 2, Adam Peters is 3, he's 4. So what did you do? What did you not do? And by asking that question, which player on the 49ers was he most proud of being a part of acquiring, he may give us insight to how they used him and what he did for the 49ers.
Number 6.
And the last question, what was your interaction in Nashville with Mike Vrabel, and what was discussed and at what length? You know, we were told that at the final stages of the GM search that Mike Vrabel was going to be brought in. And if this is going to be a collaborative process, I'm going to have to assume that these two guys got to know each other while Ran Carthon was here. Well, what'd you talk about? I highly doubt it was, oh yeah, my kid's on the Falcons practice squad. I'm so proud of him. What was discussed and at what length? Was it a 30-minute chat in the office? Was it a 3-hour sit-down? Did Vrabel invite him over to his home? What was the interaction with Vrabel like? What was discussed and at what length? Those are the important questions that I think need to be asked tomorrow of Ran Carthon at his general manager press conference. Did you notice that I did not put Jeffrey Simmons on the list? I did not put the coaching staff and questions about that on the list. And the reason that I didn't is if somebody's going to ask, do you think it's important to sign Jeff Simmons? No, duh. He's one of the best players in the league. Now, you want the details of what he thinks he's going to have to pay Jeff Simmons and what his negotiating tactics are. I mean, they're never going to talk about that stuff. And honestly, as much as I love Jeffrey Simmons and I think he's a core piece of this team, he's not as important as the quarterback. He's not as important as the power structure. as if there is a disagreement between him and the coach. He's not as important as building a team around Derrick Henry. And whether or not you can do that to win a Super Bowl, you got to blow it up and try to become a pass-first team. Those are different. The second thing, no coaching staff questions. That's Vrabel's thing. The general manager is involved in the coaching staff, but usually there's a pretty fine line of this. My staff, and I manage the staff, and so that'll be a Vrabel thing, and Vrabel probably won't take any questions for that specific reason tomorrow. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Again, that press conference coming up at noon tomorrow. Coming up next, I don't think Ran Carthon is even allowed to talk about this tomorrow. I certainly don't think he will talk about this tomorrow, but I know he's rooting for the 49ers, and I am too on Sunday, because there is something that is going to happen if they win. I believe we'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Let me tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love my friends at Hiller. They've been taking care of my home for years, and they can do the exact same for you. Literally 4 years. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize, like a free 55-inch TV, an Apple iPad, a Solo stove, or Nintendo Switch when you purchase a new whole home generator, or select new HVAC systems, or get a free 55-inch TV, a Nintendo Switch, or a Solo stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of your necessary home replacements. Tell you right now, you know I love my guys at Hiller. They're proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores, so call the Happy Face Truck today.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Golfers, tee it up this Thursday through Sunday at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Fitting event and be the first to score the new Paradigm woods and irons. The woods are engineered with forged carbon to maximize distance and forgiveness. The irons feature a forged face for increased launch speed and spin. A new paradigm in performance. Go to worldwidegolfshops.com and reserve your free custom fitting experience happening this Thursday through Sunday. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Hi guys, it's Mark with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our wave technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, but will also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but it's free to those who call in the next 2 minutes. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If people are saying, Brock Purdy is going to be the starting quarterback in San Francisco next year, is that an overreaction?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's entirely possible that Brock Purdy's the starter. Really, they could win the Super Bowl with him. How could you possibly say to him, hey, thanks for winning the Super Bowl. You're now our backup going into next year. No, he has shown them everything they've needed to see. I think at this point, I think the 49ers feel like they may have found their quarterback, and what that means for everybody else on the roster will be fascinating.
Particularly Trey Lance.
Yes.
It's not
He's
today's
only 22
story.
years old, Trey Lance.
They traded everything in the world to go up and make him the third pick in the draft, and now all of a sudden Mr. Irrelevant could be their quarterback. It's not today's story, but that is something to talk about.
That was this morning on ESPN. Hey, Brock Purdy, could he really be the starting quarterback for the 49ers? I heard that, and I thought to myself, Greeny, have you watched the games? How can Brock Purdy not be in the discussion for starting quarterback of the 49ers? And I am convinced of this. Rand Carthon will not talk about the 49ers quarterback situation tomorrow because, one, that's not his land anymore, and he's not going to go farm another man's land. And number two, I don't even think that he can. I asked TD the question, does Rand Carthon start tomorrow, or is he with the 49ers through the Super Bowl like a coach would be? And TD says that he thinks he starts tomorrow. Well, at that point, it would be tampering if Rand Carthon were to talk specifically about any one individual player, Trey Lance. And he's certainly not going to talk about Brock Purdy, before he starts a game about, we really think he's just a backup. We really think that, this is the scheme and that Purdy's really not that good. And then he's going to go out there on Sunday and play against the Cowboys. So Rand Carthon's not going to, no way. He talks about the 49ers quarterback situation tomorrow. But we did see the Instagram post that Mike Florio and Chris Sims made way too big of a deal about on NBC. And I know this. I believe if the Niners win on Sunday, and I am rooting like hell for the Niners for this reason, if the Niners win on Sunday, then the decision has been made for you. Brock Purdy is your quarterback. How do you go back from Brock Purdy? This guy has not lost a game. I went and compared his stats to Jimmy Garoppolo's. They are almost identical. So I can get a guy, and again, the cap's fake, but the money is real. So I can go from paying my quarterback $6 million or whatever it ended up being this year. Lance was a high pick, so it's probably somewhere in the $8 or $9 million range after they got Garoppolo to take the pay cut, to paying like $700,000 for my starting quarterback because he was a 7th-round pick. And I've got him for the next 3 years on that. And I'm the quarterback guru. And he fits in perfectly. Think about this. Again, going back to his stats, being exactly equivalent to Jimmy Garoppolo's. Jimmy is a 9-year vet. The fact that Purdy literally was doing the exact same thing as Jimmy tells you, think about the upside Brock Purdy's got. Plus, I know I've said this over and over again, but I mean it. Every Niner game I watch, and I don't sit down and analyze the Niners, but every 49ers game I've watched this year, it's like they get a punt and they go to commercial, they come back from commercial, and 2 plays later, the 49ers are at the other team's 32-yard line. And they have a myriad of ways of doing it, but they're always there. I don't know if the 49ers ever don't score. I don't think they punt. I think they score on every possession, it feels like. So if Brock Purdy gets the starting job, wins 5 games in a row, dumps the Seahawks in the first round of the playoffs, decent team. I thought it was kind of a game until it got away in the fourth quarter. He dumps the Seahawks in the fourth quarter. then goes on and beats the Dallas Cowboys with the best defensive player arguably in the NFL in Micah Parsons, and that defense that smothered Tom Brady on Monday night, if he lights them up, how do you take him out? Who cares if they go to Philadelphia? Take him out. But I think this is the game. If he beats the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think there's any way that Brock Purdy is not the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers next season. Which then takes us to Lance. What are you going to do there? You're going to have him be your backup for the next 2 years? You're going to have the 3rd overall pick in the draft sit on the bench for year 3 and 4 behind a 7th round pick, behind the last pick in the draft? That doesn't seem like a very good use of 3 first-round picks. By the way, after next season, and let's just make the assumption that Brock Purdy quarterbacks that team. After next season, they'll have to pick up the 5th-year option. And on the 3rd overall pick at quarterback, that is some serious money. And how do you decide that if Trey Lance can't play? But they love Trey Lance. And they promised Trey Lance, hey, you're the guy. And now you're going to ask him to be the backup? And he's going to like that? And then what if you decide, oh no, even though Brock Purdy got us to the NFC Championship game and was 6-1 as a starter and beat the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to be the backup. So Trey Lance is going to go out there, throw one incompletion, and you're going to hear a rain of boos come down, and all of a sudden everybody in the stadium is going to be chanting for Brock Purdy. You're going to have a camp battle? You're going to go into training camp in a league where, hey, I'm the quarterback and nobody says anything bad about me. You're going to go into OTAs and training camp with, let's see how it plays out. I don't think so. So if the Niners win on Sunday, I think Purdy is the guy. If Purdy is the guy, then that means the 49ers have to do something with Trey Lance. Now, they're never going to get the value with which they dealt in order to get Trey Lance. Like, they're not going to get, in my opinion, they are not going to get 3 first-round picks in return for Trey Lance. But if Trey Lance broke his ankle right before the draft, you wouldn't have used 3 first-round picks in order to get him. And that's the problem with the fact that everybody knows you've already got a quarterback. And I don't know. I said this yesterday. I have no idea if a healthy Trey Lance is worth the 11th overall pick. No clue. But I bet Ran Carthon does. I mean, he's only been at every practice and every game and every scouting session and all those meetings leading up to the draft and all the discussions with Shanahan after the fact and everything else. He knows all those things. Somebody just tweeted me and said, Trey Lance has 797 career passing yards. It would be a bold move to part with Tannehill to go into next season with Lance as QB1. Guess what? Ran Carthon knows all that needs to be known about Trey Lance. The things that we don't know, he knows. And if he went in there and told Vrabel up and down and swore, I am telling you, the 11th overall pick, we can trade it. We can get Trey Lance. He is that dude. And even on a rookie contract, you don't have to get rid of Tannehill. Tannehill could, in theory, back up Lance, although I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably trade Tannehill and try to get a pick in return because everybody's going to need a quarterback this year. But, I mean, come on now. If they win on Sunday, Brock Purdy is the guy. If Brock Purdy's the guy, Trey Lance has to go. If Trey Lance has to go, do you want Trey Lance here? 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. You know, something I did not think about, and I was shocked when I saw it, and it has to do with the Titans, and it has to do with somebody who's not here anymore. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi, and this is Smashwell.
Going to the front of the net, he scores. What a gorgeous move. Roman Yossi.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Nate Bargatze from Old Hickory to Broadway.
Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They called Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze, Bridgestone Arena, Saturday, April 15th. Tickets available at natebargatze.com. Don't miss Nate Bargatze from Old Hickory to Broadway. Produced by Outback Presents.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Joe Exler here for FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are heating up, folks, and with FanDuel, every play is a rush. New customers join today so you can bet the divisional round with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code Joe102. If I'm looking at the AFC playoffs this week, I like the home teams. I like the Chiefs, certainly against the Jags. I like the Bills against the Bengals, though the Bengals have had some incredible luck in the last couple of postseasons. I think that comes to an end this week. You do whatever you want. You do it on America's #1 sports book. It's got all your favorites, money line, point spread, player props, but you can also combine them for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. All this on an app that's safe, secure, and very important to me, super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet, you get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with promo code Joe102. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, present in Tennessee. For a sideline real money wager only, $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now available free bets, expiring 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
On the Friday edition of Chase and Michelle, we will get you set for Rand Carthon's introductory press conference with the Titans, plus how the Preds do against St. Louis. We will break it all down starting at 9 o'clock right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Nashville. This is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Trey Lance Instagram post with a picture of Rand Carthon and fingers crossed emojis cascading.
Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I don't know.
What does he think everybody's going to think, even if he doesn't, even if there's something else behind this? What does he think everybody's going to think? Why?
What would your fingers be crossed for?
Right. I don't know. I hope it works out for him. I mean, right? Other than that, it seems like your fingers are crossed because you're going, I hope he takes me to Tennessee. Why? Right now, your team's in the divisional round, right? You're not doing anything. Put that picture out and say, good luck, Rand, period. Like, why? It frustrates me with current players at times with these cryptic social media messages that are distractions.
Chris Sims just on the soapbox. How dare you send out that Instagram story with 3 finger crossed emojis? By the way, I saw this on whatever day it was they hired Rand Carthon. Was it Tuesday? Tuesday night. I saw the 3 fingers crossed, and I texted Caroline because I don't know how young people talk anymore. You know, I used to be young. I am not anymore. I don't know how young people talk anymore. So I saw the Ran Carthon, you know, the little post with his picture saying he was getting hired as Titans general manager, and I saw 3 fingers that were crossed. And I'm like, what does this mean? So I texted Caroline. I'm like, what does this mean? She's like, it means he's saying good luck. Good enough for me. I didn't see that as, oh, crossing my fingers that he takes me to Tennessee and rescues me from this hellhole where I had to play behind Jimmy Garoppolo and now Mr. Irrelevant has outplayed. I did not see it like that. I don't see it as a distraction. And I am the one who thinks everything's a distraction. And even I think this is a little ridiculous. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. This is one of my favorites. So all I'm saying about Trey Lance is if Brock Purdy wins this weekend against the Dallas Cowboys, if Brock Purdy wins, then I don't think that there is any way in which he can't be the starting quarterback next year for the 49ers. If that's the case, Trey Lance has to go. I believe that. Now, would you deal the 11th overall pick for Trey Lance? I have no idea. I have no idea how good Trey Lance is. I saw one preseason game, he played pretty well. I saw a second preseason game, he played pretty poorly. And they ran a bunch of RPOs until he broke his leg in the one game he played last year that wasn't in a monsoon. So I have no idea. But Ran Carthon does because he's there. Anthony the plumber texts in and says, there is nothing to know. How many NFL games has this dude played? I don't care what he's done in practice. He hasn't played in the NFL, so there is nothing to know. So Anthony the plumber, I assume, is a plumber. And the reason I bring this up is because if my pipe burst in my house, who would know how to take care of it better? Me, a talk radio host with zero technical skills, or Anthony the plumber, who's a plumber. And Anthony the plumber would say, I know how to fix that pipe bust in your house better than you do. And Anthony the plumber would be right. Well, when it comes to knowing whether or not Trey Lance can play in the NFL, who knows better? Us, who have 2 preseason games, 2 games last year, and a game and a third this year, or the guy who's been around him for 2 years? I'm going to guess that guy does. Come on now. It's not that difficult to figure out. You know me. I'm not somebody who just defers to the general manager and the coach, because I think that the backbone of sports radio is really second guessing and first guessing the coach and the general manager, and it is explaining who screwed up and why. That is what sports radio is. Who needs to do a better job? What I would do if I was in their position, that's sports radio. So I'm never going to be like, well, the coach knows better than us, or, well, the general manager knows better than us. But of course they do, especially in the case of Ran Carthon, who's been with the 49ers. And you know what I'm not doing anymore? I'm not doing, if anybody ever texts in, if Caroline was still here, I would be like, ban them right now. Anybody who ever texts in who says practice isn't important. I went to training camp, and I told you guys, they don't have a right tackle. I went to training camp. I watched Malik Willis have 2 2-minute drives against the backups from the Arizona Cardinals and throw a ball away on 4th down, throw it away, like into the stands on 4th down, and I watched him throw an interception in the 2 2-minute drills. I'm like, this guy can't be your backup quarterback. You all. It's just practice. Who cares about practice? Guess what? The guys who perform the best in practice normally perform the best in the games. I know it's crazy. But every time we bring up practice, someone's like, oh, it's practice. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. It matters to the coaches. It matters to everybody who actually goes to practice. Texter says, as a Niners fan, I would rather see Brock Purdy there because we've seen more from him. Unfortunately, Trey Lance got injured, and we've seen more from Brock. So here's the hard part, though. Again, you're going off of what you've seen. What Rand Carthon has seen is different from what you've seen. What Rand Carthon knows is different from what you know. And here's the real odd dynamic. I am not one of these people who thinks that, oh, your team won, your quarterback must be the best. But I do think there is a correlation between good quarterback normally wins, bad quarterback normally loses. I call it the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson starts, they normally win. Lamar Jackson doesn't start, they normally lose. And so I think there's something to that. But I don't just think it's, oh, Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls in the 90s? You're a better quarterback than Brett Favre. I don't believe it like that. But the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo, in his last 2 full healthy seasons, participated in a Super Bowl, one in which they lost because he missed a wide-open Emmanuel Sanders, and an NFC Championship game, and the 49ers, with the best offensive coach in the league, the top quarterback guru, still decided, hey, we're moving off of him, we're moving on to Trey. They traded 3 first-round picks in order to move up and get Trey Lance. Even though all that happened, I got to believe that Shanahan loves him. Now, you've all seen more from Jimmy, so you have more of an opinion on Jimmy than you do Trey. But obviously what they saw, they loved Trey. I think that Shanahan and Lynch are going to want to try to keep, they're going to want to try to figure out a way to keep Lynch and Brock Purdy together, and I don't think you can do that. I do not think that I don't think you can keep those two together.
They gave up so much for Lance.
I know, but they don't lose with Purdy.
So they got to be super reluctant. You know, would they consider moving Purdy and keeping Lance? Do you think, like, even
what would you get right now in a trade for Purdy?
I mean, I have no idea. I would think at least 1 first, right?
Oh, I think you're starting at 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, you think he's proven that much already?
I don't think he has. I think it's the market.
Yeah.
It's the fact that if Russell Wilson, where you have to pay him, because you don't have to pay Purdy.
Not yet, yeah.
So if Russell Wilson, where you have to pay him, is 2 firsts and 2 seconds, I think Purdy, where you don't have to pay him, is 2 firsts, which is crazy because he was the last pick of the draft.
They can just flip him for 2 firsts.
I mean, this is like one of those Bitcoin guys that bought it when it was nothing and sold it and now owns an entire block of old San Juan in Puerto Rico. That's what this is like. And that's the Shanahan effect. But one of these teams that runs that system is going to say, hey, you know, with a first-round pick and minimum money because he was with 2 first-round picks and minimum money because he was a 7th-round guy, you know, if he's the guy, then we're moving forward. Maybe they'll be scared because they didn't rate him highly coming out or something like that. I don't know. I just know that if Brock Purdy keeps winning, I don't know how you take him out. Texter says, Jared, if the 49ers lose this weekend, would you try to make a play for Purdy? If so, what or who would you give up? That comes from Scott in Evansville. This is one of the ones where I defer to the guy who's been on the team that has him. Like, if you're Mike Vrabel and you love Tannehill, and I think Vrabel does like Tannehill, if you're Mike Vrabel and you feel in your heart like you're committed to Tannehill, but Rand Carthon is telling you, trust me, Purdy's got the goods. Trey's got the goods. They're telling you, you got to have this guy. If that's the case, how do you go against it from the guy who's clearly an expert on this? I don't think you can. I think you have to take the guy at his word. That's why you hired him. And again, he would know. Now, here's something that I do want to know that you'll never really get the answer to unless you went out drinking with somebody who would know. And that is, how much was Rand Carthon involved in the discussions with the 3rd overall pick? Rand Carthon, as of yesterday, was the 4th in command at the 49ers. Shanahan 1, Lynch 2, Peters 3, he's 4. Normally, when you make a deal like that or you have a pick like that, you don't share what direction you're thinking about going in, even with your top lieutenants. I remember John Dorsey knew for 2 months he was going to draft Baker Mayfield number 1. He told the day of the draft, he did not tell Hugh Jackson, his coach. On the day of the draft, he told Hugh Jackson. 20 minutes later, Josina Anderson reported that the Browns were going to take Baker Mayfield at number 1. And that's how John Dorsey knew he couldn't trust Hugh Jackson. I remember the day of the draft thinking that the 49ers were going to take Mac Jones with that pick. So I don't know. We're back to your phones next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Plus, I know you guys don't like the old general manager, but I was stunned when I saw a new ranking. We'll get to that next as well. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Nissan. It's a new year, so I thought I would share my personal resolution with you. My resolution is to be able to hula hoop on the trampoline for 1 minute. This might be painful. Since I've had years of practice making resolutions, I thought I'd give you some tips on making yours. It should involve 3 key components. First, make it something new, like texting without using your thumbs. Second, make it easy, like reading more, or at least turning the subtitles on while binge watching Netflix. And third, make sure no matter what, that you buy your next new car from Newton. We want to make your purchase fast and easy with Newton FastPass. We'll even deliver the car to you. Remember, new, easy, and buy at Newton. I have a feeling this next year is going to be great. Shop at newtonnissan.com to start your resolution today. See website for details. Put your resolutions in writing.
Signs First, Nashville's leading locally owned and operated sign and physical media company, has been supporting local community organizations for over 30 years. Signs First offers a 10% discount to all churches, nonprofits, and charities. Go to sfnash.com.
It's electric in Smashville. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429 has a new path to a dignified career. Local 429 is accepting applications for the highest skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, your proud seventh man since the beginning. Go Preds!
What's up, everybody? It's Michelle Knezovic for Superbook Sports, and this is your New Year's resolution: win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas, so you'll get the best odds boosts anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Plus, check out their special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and place your bets today. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Shop limited time deals at the Truckload event at Lowe's, happening now. Save big on your favorites across the store. During this event, get up to 50% off select tools and accessories. Plus, find the perfect floor tile for your home for less. Get up to 50% off select styles while you can. Head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowes.com to shop the Truckload event today. Valid 12/29 through 1/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowes.com for details. Discount taken at time of purchase.
Start your day with a cup of Joe. Ugh, he's gonna think that's stupid. Wait, what? Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. There, that sounds better.
Thank you so much.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Thomas, what would you say he's walking into when you look at the Titans, as far as maybe the quarterback position or the roster? What do you think he's walking into and inheriting with that organization?
Well, look, I am a big fan of John Robinson. I was really surprised at one time that happened with John at 7-5. Of course, John and Mike, I thought, put together a solid football team with some good football players. I always thought it was the kind of team that I didn't think was, that star-studded team where there was a lot of stuff coming out, right? It was I felt really consistent, right? I thought it was a consistent roster that someone like Rand can come in and continue to take that consistency and some good football players. Look, we had this in New England back in the day when I was there with Bill Belichick and Scott Pioli. We took pride on having a good roster where we could continue to build, have smart, good football players. And we didn't always go for the star-studded people. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but I think Rand has a really good understanding of the mixing of good football players and where you're going to have your pillar players and bring them together. So I think that there's definitely something to work with there for him. And, again, they have a good personnel staff there as it stands, people who have stayed around after John Robinson was let go. And I think he can work with a really good group there.
That was Thomas Dimitroff, former Falcons general manager, and he's like, hey, I thought John Robinson did a good job there. So I know it's not popular to say John Robinson did a good job. All I'm asking, and I am not defending John Robinson here, all I'm asking is that the standards that we will apply and judge Rand Carthon by will be the same standards with which we judge John Robinson by, and by we, I mean you. And not only that, but the ESPN analytic gurus, according to Aaron Schatz of Football Outsiders and Alex Vigderman from Sports Info Solutions, took a look at all 32 rookie classes in the NFL to rank the value of their contributions in 2022. So that's Football Outsiders. That is Willie Donick's people. I mean, if you ever listen to the Midday Show, Willie loves Football Outsiders. The number one rookie class last year, Seattle. Now, they had all those picks because of the Russell Wilson trade. So they had a first rounder, they had 2 second rounders, and I guess they had good production from their rookie class. Number 2, the Jets. The Jets had 2 top 10 picks, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson.
Both were very good.
3 first-round picks. They have your 3rd first-round pick because the Titans traded back and ended up drafting Roger McCreary after they made the A.J. Brown trade. So they had the Jets had 3 first-round picks. They're number 2. Shocking. Kansas City, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. That's what you get when you trade Tyreek Hill. Kansas City, number 3. Number 4, the Titans. John Robinson was so bad, everybody says. Number 4 rookie class. ESPN, quote, Tennessee's most valuable rookie might have been a player they didn't even draft. Punter Ryan Stonehouse broke an NFL record of over 80 years by leading the league with a 53.1 gross punting average. Now, let me say this for the record. 2 things. 1, I'm not a huge Stonehouse fan, and I certainly think that he's got to learn how to directionally kick the ball. Number 2, I have been told on good authority that it was Robinson who wanted Stonehouse, and it was Vrabel who wanted Kern. Just saying. It continues, quote, or perhaps the Titans' most valuable rookie was second-round corner Roger McCreary. He didn't break any records, but he did start all 17 games, albeit without impressive charting statistics. There were also defensive contributions from Jack Gibbons and corner Trey Avery. On offense, the star was tight end Chig Okonkwo, who broke out with some big catches in the second half of the season. But first-round pick Traylon Burks made some waves when healthy, and third-rounder Nicholas Petit-Ferrer started the entire year at right tackle. The Titans also got 3 starts out of quarterback Malik Willis, but that didn't go so well with a miserable QBR of 12.6. So that they're saying that the Texans, who had 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, were 1 spot behind at number 5. Oh, John Robinson was so bad. He was never had a losing season, had the same win percentage as Bill Walsh with the 49ers, and the number 4 rookie class, according to Willie Donick's analytic people at ESPN.com. I hope we hold everybody to the same standard. Adam in Portland has been waiting patiently. He's up next. Thank you for waiting. What's up, Adam?
Hey, man. Hey, I agree with you on the Trey Lance thing. I don't know. I kind of think if I remember correctly, when Mike Mularkey won that playoff game and got fired, I think on your show the very next day, you're like, hey, they must think that Vrabel's going to win a divisional game because that's the next level, So I feel like that's the thing with Rand Carthon here is like, all right, you got to at least be 9-7 or better every year, and get back to the playoffs because that's what we're missing. But this is what I called you for. I heard you talking about Trey Lance, and I think that scenario is exactly what's going to happen, and I'm scared of it because the only thing that we know about Trey Lance is that he's got a cannon and that he had 2 minutes of contact football and tore his knee up. And I can't.
He broke his ankle.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, I can't imagine trading $1 million assets for a player that all I know about him is that he stays hurt or that he's gotten hurt. I mean, I don't. It's not like an indictment or me being mean about the guy or anything.
Adam, can I ask you this question? Can I ask you this question? Do you like the hire of Rand Carthon as the general manager?
I like the word 49ers being on that guy, so absolutely.
But other than that,
I don't know him.
Okay.
I remember him backing up. Didn't he back up Joseph Adai? I remember him being a okay running back, but I don't know anything about him.
That's with the Colts. I thought you were talking about with LSU. I was like, that's Justin Vincent, but neither here nor there. My point is if Rand Carthon, let's say the Titans make the move. Let's just say Brock Purdy wins. Let's say Purdy wins the Super Bowl. Purdy wins the Super Bowl, and he's got to be the starter of the 49ers. San Francisco trades Trey Lance to the Titans for the 11th overall pick, and Rand Carthon gets up at the podium and says, trust me, I know Trey. I believe in Trey. Trey is a great player. That's why we wanted Trey. If he says that, how would you feel?
Sick. Because I can't trust somebody I don't know, man. I guess we could. I could see it working, but no, I would not feel good about that at all. Because just like you said, that the going rate is 2 first-rounders or a first-rounder, and some. It's going to be more than just the 11th pick, and we need so much more than a quarterback with the 11th pick, man. I don't know. I would hate that scenario.
So I have no idea. Thank you for calling him. I have no idea what Trey Lance would be worth on the open market. I know the 49ers used 3 first-round picks to move up and take him with the 3rd overall pick, but he is coming off of an injury.
And unproven.
And he's unproven, and 2 years later, two less years on the contract. So he is absolutely a devalued asset. I have no idea how good Trey Lance is. If Rand Carthon says he's worth the 11th overall pick, then I have to trust the guy's judgment because he was there in San Francisco. When I say 2 first-round picks, I'm talking about Purdy. And we're all watching Purdy right now. Somebody texted into the text line and said, I think if the Titans make a play for Trey Lance, he's going to be the starter. But if they make a play for Brock Purdy, he can still sit behind Tannehill and adapt to a new team and then start when it's appropriate. What? If you trade for Brock Purdy, he's the starting quarterback. I mean, people, you get with the picture. You don't trade for a guy who is 6-0, or I guess 6-0. As a starting quarterback. If he wins this week, he'll be 7-0. You don't trade for a guy who ends up being 7-1 or 8-1 or ends up winning the Super Bowl without losing a game and then say, hey, we need you to back up Ryan Tannehill. A free full-time starter with the Rams. And then he went to the Eagles and as a veteran pulled the Purdy. And then a year later, got a huge contract to be a starting quarterback in Jacksonville. You're not going to put Brock Purdy on the bench. That does not happen. LD from McVinville texts and it says, so Pro Football Outsiders or whatever, I do love that, or whatever, gave the Titans credit for a couple of players starting games, a couple of players making a few catches in the second half, and a guy that consistently outkicked the coverage. Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations to J-Rob. That comes from LD and McMinnville.
Some Stonehouse haters up in here.
Well, I'm kind of a Stonehouse hater
Yeah,
too,
I was including you.
Well, but I will say this. I don't know how FootballOutsiders.com, I don't know how they came up with these rankings, but the Titans are 4th. That's all I know. That's all I know. Okay, Preds Caucus, an hour of talk on the Preds. Now, we're not going to break down games and things like that. We are going to have a State of the Predators discussion. And when I said that, Adam Vingan texted me and said, you're going to have a Predators Caucus without me? I said, you want to come on? He said, yeah. So Adam Vingan will join us for the Preds Caucus. And then we will yell at Hal Gill probably at some point later this hour as well. And Predators game day because they're playing St. Louis. But I think the Predators are at one of the biggest points in the franchise this season. They got to get it fit. We'll discuss. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. If you got your Preds thoughts as well, get them in. But we'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Sliding across, making the stop, UC Cerro.
We talk the game.
That wraparound goal by Sanford was a beaut.
Tanner Janot, Ryan Johansson gets on the board.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
Max Hers in St. Louis with your Preds Report for Thursday, January 19th. The Predators are on the road tonight, a one-game trip in St. Louis against the Blues. Preds are 1-0-1 against the Blues so far this season and have their final road game before the All-Star break because it'll be 3 home games starting Saturday before the team takes their bye week and then a weekend off for UC Saros to go play among the NHL's best. Preds have won 2 in a row, both by 2-1 scores. Monday night at home against the Flames, and then Tuesday night at home against the Blue Jackets. Puck drop tonight is at 7 for the Preds and the Blues from St. Louis. Pre-game coverage begins at 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Hey guys, it's the new year. We popped the champagne, kissed at midnight, and it's time to make a new start. But if you aren't popping like you used to because of erectile dysfunction or low testosterone, maybe your new start should be making a call to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. You see, ED is just a medical condition affecting men of all ages. But the good news is that ED is highly treatable. In fact, the medical experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic have successfully treated thousands of men, with ED treatments having success rates as high as 90%. And with a variety of ED treatment options, including acoustic wave therapy, they can likely find the right one for you. You might even find your cork is popping like it hasn't in years. Plus, their low T treatments are highly effective. So many men have experienced life-changing results, from increased energy to more productive workouts, feeling more rested, and enjoying a greater sex drive too. So make 2023 the year you get free of ED and low T. Make an appointment. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a more comprehensive approach, including a testosterone lab panel and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment sex start results vary.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. There was a little on-the-field news today for the Tennessee Titans. The NFL announced the international games for next season, and the Titans will be one of 5 teams participating in Europe. The Titans, Bills, and Jaguars will be playing in London, while the Chiefs and Patriots will play in Germany. Tennessee will play in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with opponent, day, and time to be determined. Other NFL teams are making coaching staff moves. The Ravens offensive coordinator Greg Roman is stepping down, and the Buccaneers are parting ways with OC Byron Leftwich. The Miami Dolphins have let go defensive coordinator Josh Boyer. The Nashville Predators are looking to build off 2 wins in a row as they are back at it tonight in St. Louis to take on the division rival Blues. The team announced forward Michael McCarron has been assigned to AHL Milwaukee. Puck drop tonight versus St. Louis is at 7, with pregame at 6 right here on the Preds Radio Network. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Tonight, your Nashville Predators take on the Blues in St. Louis. Coverage begins at 6 on your home for Smashville. WPRT-FM Pegram, WBUC HD2 Laverne, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman, presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing and Heating Cooling Studios. It is time to discuss the Predators at length. Your phones, 615-737-1025. We are calling this the Predators Caucus, the state of the Predators, and we may have many of these throughout the next couple of weeks. I don't know. It depends on how this goes. We don't do this very often, but I feel the need to do it today. And I really felt it when I was driving in and I heard Willie talking about the game tonight, talking about how it is such a big game tonight. The Predators, if they want to make the playoffs or get into the discussion or whatever have you. And so we decided we're going to do this Predators Caucus. Adam Vingan texted me and he said, "You're going to do this Predators Caucus without me." I said, "Well, then come on." So Adam Vingan is with us. Adam, how are you?
I love a caucus. If it was a Predator Summit, I may have been less inclined to join you, but I love a caucus. So thank you for having me.
You do love a caucus. According to MoneyPuck.com, Adam's website, the Predators currently have a 23.6% chance to make the playoffs. If they lose tonight in regulation, it goes to 19%. Now, I'm just going to start with an opening statement. Adam, you please give your statement to follow my statement, and then we'll go from there. I think the Predators are in a situation where they're getting dangerously close to having to fire the coach. And it's not so much about John Hines being a bad coach, which I do think he is, but it's really not so much about that as much as it is, I'm not sure they have any cards left to play. You know, they went into this season, they promised after last season, when they got drilled in the first round of the playoffs by Colorado, they promised, hey, we'll be better, we promise. And so they signed Nino Niederreiter, and they traded for Ryan McDonough, and they said, we got some young guys we feel real good about, even though they sent that guy right back down to Milwaukee. They put the other guy on waivers. He got claimed by Seattle. And so they promised they'd be good, and they have not been good. And Elliot Friedman brought this up today, but he was talking about the Predators, and he's like, at some point, they're going to have to get in the playoff picture and stay there for a couple of days. And they haven't done that. Now, they've been in real trouble a couple of times where I'm like, okay, we're about to enter coach watch. And then they win 3 in a row, or they do something like that. And then once it feels like maybe they're not that terrible, they turn around and they lose a game to Toronto in the final minutes and then get beat by a horrendous Montreal team. Now, I love my hockey team, but I've said this. It feels like if the goalie does not steal the game, they're not going to win. They have no offense, and they have no defense. And Eeli Tolvanen's 5 goals in 10 games with Seattle and his chirping after the fact about, yeah, they've put me in a position to be successful, and that coach over there wasn't doing it, I think are kind of fuel to the fire. Either they've got to do one of two things. Either they've got to admit that this roster that they promised us would be good enough, that Roman Josi came on the show before the start of the season, and he was talking about trying to win the cup, that team is not good enough and they screwed up, or they have to fire the coach and see if that changes things. I think they're getting really, really close to that, and my gut tells me they will do neither, that they will not admit that their players are not good enough, and they will not fire their coach. And I don't know why they won't fire their coach, but they won't. And so that's kind of the state I believe the Predators are in. Adam, your thoughts?
I think the game against Columbus on Tuesday perfectly encapsulates what this particular team is. They scored 2 goals. They needed their backup goaltender to make close to 40 saves against the worst team in the NHL. I checked the standings before we came on. The Columbus Blue Jackets are 32 out of 32 in the NHL. They needed their goaltender to steal a game against the worst team in the league. I believe shots in the second and third periods combined were 31-16. I think that was my back of the napkin math earlier. So the fact that they did not absolutely destroy the worst team in the league and needed Kevin Lankinen to play his butt off to get them that win, I think says a lot about what this team is. I think you're right, Jared. I think that this team, well, I know this for a fact because I study this team a little bit differently than I used to because I'm not around them every day anymore. But this team relies more on its goaltending than any other team in the NHL. And that is backed up statistically that if not for this group of goaltenders, UC Saros and Kevin Lankinen, who, to his credit, has had a solid year. I thought it was a really silly signing when it happened. I think he's actually played pretty well, all things considered. But the fact that this team has needed its goaltenders, as you said, to steal more games, to steal games to win, I think says everything you need to know. This team does not do anything well other than play goal. They are a middle of the road team offensively. They are a below average team defensively. They are an average team on the penalty kill. Their power play is horrendous. There are no redeeming qualities about this particular team other than the fact that they have a really, really good set of goaltenders, mostly UC Saros. But as I said, Kevin Lankinen has played well in the backup role. So
do you think they need to play that card, Adam? Do you think that they need, given how dug in David Poile has been, that we're going to compete, we promise, do you think they need to play the fire the coach card?
Well, in the NHL, as we know, it's probably the most volatile when it comes to firing coaches. And there is plenty of proof of teams firing coaches midseason and that team turning it around. I think of Bruce Boudreau and the Vancouver Canucks last year. The Canucks didn't make the playoffs, but I think the Canucks played at a more than 100-point pace over the rest of the season when Bruce Boudreau became coach. I just don't see it happening. I really just don't see it happening. And to your first point, if you're expecting an Amy Adams Strunk-like maneuver of firing a general manager or admitting at least that this roster isn't good enough to compete in the middle of the season, that's definitely not happening. To use my favorite phrase, because as we all know, David Poile has the job security of a Supreme Court justice. So that's not happening. I also don't expect a coaching change. I think this organization is too dug in, and I expect them to go down with the ship. If this team misses the playoffs, that I think they're just going to miss the playoffs with the roster and the coach they have.
But why are they dug in on Hines? He's never won anything. I don't think I'm overly encouraged that he's going to win anything. Eli Tolvanen, a young player you draft in the first round, gets put on waivers because he's no good, and he goes to the other team and he starts lighting it up with the one trick that he's got as a one-trick pony. He takes rocket shots at the organization. Eli Tolvanen doesn't even talk. You covered him, Adam. You know he doesn't. So for him to go and take shots at the organization, you know he really wanted to do that. I mean, to me, they're terrible on defense. They're terrible offensively. Why would you not fire the coach if you feel like you know this league? If you feel like you're on the outside getting in and you feel like you know where this is headed, why would they not play that card? Why would they not fire the coach as a way of saying, like, okay, now that's what they did with Laviolette. They fired him because all the guys we've paid all this money to aren't playing well, so we're firing Laviolette. This guy has not won one scintilla of what Peter Laviolette won. So why would they not fire him? I mean, I agree with you, they're not going to do it, but why would they not do it?
Well, I want to mention the Eli Tolvanen interview that you're discussing. He did an interview with the Hockey News where he said the things that you're referring to. And when I read that interview, it reminded me of the interview I conducted with Victor Arvidsson after he was traded to the Los Angeles Kings, because he said similar things about not being put in a position to succeed or having his role diminished by John Hines. And that's one criticism I do have of John Hines is that, look, all coaches have their players in every sport. They have their guys. I think the interesting thing with John Hines is his guys are not necessarily talented, like Cole Smith or last season, Luke Cunnin. Why are those guys in the lineup every day over Eli Tolvanen or Philip Tomasino? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I just wonder if it's an optics thing when it comes to not firing John Hines because, as we both know, they had the choice at the end of last season to just pick up his team option for this season and just extend his contract by 1 year. Instead, they gave him and his entire coaching staff a 2-year contract extension. Now, I looked this up. I looked this up recently. Well, not recently, but I remember looking it up. I think the Devils fired John Hines less than a year after they extended his contract. So just because they re-signed John Hines doesn't mean, they have to see that contract through. But I think because of the show of support they showed him 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I just have a hard time imagining it happening. But to your point, there is plenty of proof in the NHL of firing a coach, making a change behind the bench, and that team, getting the kick in the rear end that it needs. So, would that help this team? I don't know. History says that they might get a bit of a bump from it, but I think the Predators' record after John Hines took over for Peter Laviolette was a little bit more than 500. Now he didn't get, he only had like a couple of months because COVID happened, but their record after he took over, I don't remember. Like that first couple of months, I don't remember being super impressive, but they did play better. So I understand your point.
Okay, now I'm putting you on the hot seat. If you own the Predators, Adam Vingan, would you fire John Hines if things don't turn around immediately?
How soon is immediately? Like next week after the All-Star break? Like what are we talking about? Like tomorrow?
I'll give you after the All-Star break.
Okay, so they've got what, 4 games left before the All-Star break?
Yes.
I think that if they let's say they lose these next 4 games, or they go 0-3-1 or 0-2-2. If they don't win any of these games, I personally would strongly consider just bringing up Carl Taylor for the rest of the season. I would bring up Carl Taylor for the rest of the season. He knows a lot of these players. He coached well in a pinch last season. Yes, it was last season, if I recall correctly. I think if this team enters the All-Star break and it's bye week on a 4-game losing streak, I would strongly consider just bringing up Carl Taylor for the rest of the year.
That is your way of saying you would fire the coach.
More or less.
Okay. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. The Preds Caucus, the state of the Predators. Tonight they play a not very good St. Louis team. They absolutely, positively have to win it. And even then, I think the only way they're going to win tonight, if they win, is the goalie's going to steal the game because that's how they win all the games. What do you make of it? 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025 will go to you. Plus, Greg Wyshynski at ESPN wrote an article about the trade deadline, and the term that they use to describe the Predators is so real. We'll get to that as well, and your phones. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game.
Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Hi, this is NFL alumni Tennessee chapter president and former All-Pro linebacker Al Smith. On the field, I always wore a helmet and pads to make sure I was protected. Life is no different. That's why I got vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19. Protection keeps you in the game. Talk to your doctor. Get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself, your family, and others against COVID-19 today.
More information at nflagearup.org/Tennessee.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When I see the Predators, the one thing about them is they've gotten close a couple of times, but they've never actually gotten into a playoff position. Like, I think that's what you have to do. It's last week they got that huge win over Ottawa, and then they lost, 3 games in regulation and didn't get a point. Toronto, Montreal, and then the Saturday game against Buffalo. You can't do that. You cannot do that. When you have a win against Ottawa like that, you have to build on it and you have to get close. And then they get a huge win over Calgary, a game they absolutely had to have on Monday. Like, for me, what the Predators have to do is they can't just keep being close. They have to get in. Like, they have to say, we're not just going to get within 2 or 3 points and then we're going to start losing again. You have to be right there. You have to at least crawl into a wild card spot for a couple of days, because I think there's a big difference between showing that you're a team that can simply get close and being a team that actually is in and shows they can get in. And that's what I'm waiting for the Predators to do, actually be in a playoff spot for a few days.
There you go. That was Elliot Friedman on the Midday Show today. And again, he's like, they just never get in. Like, they turn around and they lose to Montreal, who stinks, and they just don't. And again, I don't think anything's going to change. I think this is what they are. Adam Vingan is with us for our State of the Preds Caucus. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. Texter texts in and says, fire the GM and the coach. In 40 years, the GM has put only 2 teams in the Stanley Cup. Enough said. Adam,
only one team.
The one team.
Just to be clear, only one team.
Adam, I just want to say this. I do think David Poyle's getting fired at the end of the year. Now, they're not going to call it a firing. I wish they would, because David has done too much damage around here. I think, boy, this is going to sound rude, and it's not. It's just kind of how I feel. I believe that David Poyle has overstayed his welcome to the point that his departure will be celebrated by the fans. And I don't mean departure like, oh, what a great career. I mean like, yes! Somebody knew! Yes! I could be wrong, though.
Well, what's interesting is Charlie O'Connor, who covers the Philadelphia Flyers for The Athletic, had a tweet over the weekend. I have it up here. He said, quote, Ellie Tolvanen thriving in Seattle really should be the moment when the hockey world at large openly discusses whether David Poile, and in parentheses, who I think has been a good GM for a long time, has lost his fastball. To which I quote tweeted, anyone want to tell Charlie? And then we talked about basically how, here in Nashville, that is definitely the sentiment. That has been the sentiment. And as I said to Charlie, as we went back and forth on Twitter, I think a lot of the hockey world at large, so outside of Nashville, I think hasn't had that conversation about David Poile out of respect for his longevity. But Predators fans have been, as you clearly know, and as we both know, have been over David Poile for now at least a couple of years. The poll I did on my most recent Predators fan survey at the end of last season, I think it was like 55 or 60% of combined gave David Poile a one or a 2 out of 5, with 1 being the lowest. And look, when you have been at this for as long as David Poile, he wants to win so badly. But as I said, to correct the texter, he has been to 1 Stanley Cup final as a general manager. Now, if you want to give him credit for the 1998 Stanley Cup final that the Washington Capitals went to, because that was the year after he was let go by the Capitals, if you want to give him credit for putting most of that team together, I guess you can give him a 0.25 credit.
John Robinson doesn't get a Super Bowl ring if the Titans win it next year. I mean, that's
correct. Yes, I know.
I will say that Texter says if they trade players like, or he says trade, but they basically waived Tolvanen. If they waive players like Tolvanen and keep players like Tomasino in the B League, how is the organization supposed to have any faith in the draft pick Kimmel? I don't think it's just Hines, but I think Poile is very much to blame as well, since we haven't had success with a raw skill player other than Paul Kariya and Philip Forsberg, who is still at the bottom of top 50 forwards. I think they're both, to me, I think they're both guilty. Both the general manager and the coach. And I'm going to say this too. I think that bringing them back, I said this when they lost to Colorado. The 2:00 segment was they cannot bring these guys back. They do not have a choice to bring these guys back. And, I mean, everybody has a choice in life, but I'm like, they're going to lose the fans if they bring these guys back. I am wondering if they've lost the fans. Like, if the fans, in terms of the interest level and the buzz, I mean, they packed that arena, and I still go to the games, but Adam, you remember, like, the buzz when they were good. Like, that was different than what I feel like is going on now. Now I feel like it's just apathy because nobody thinks they're going to change anything with David Poile. And because they're not going to change anything with David Poile, and they're not going to change anything with this coach who's never won anything, I feel like, it's just people are, okay.
I do think there is a sense of resignation among this fan base, and I think you could even feel it in the arena in games 3 and 4 of the Avalanche series last year. I know that those, they were dominated in those first 2 games. And look, the crowd, was into it in those games at Bridgestone Arena, but you could tell that it just wasn't the same. And I do think there is a sense of resignation among this fan base. And I know that those who are on social media make up a vocal minority of the fan base at large, but I contend that those fans are the most connected with their team because they choose to interact with others on Twitter and on Reddit and on Facebook and such. And I know Predators Facebook is a friggin' cesspool, but the point is that I just think, to your point, that this team doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The ownership group has basically, I think it would be strong and incorrect to say that this ownership group is absentee, because I do think they are involved. But as Herb Fritsch said when Bill Haslam announced that he was entering the ownership group, David's the hockey expert, and we leave that to him. So that hands-off approach, the fact that ownership is not going to make that type of seismic move and moving off of David Poile, I just think that fans here are just, there's nothing necessarily to look forward to. Yeah, and I think that's why it is in the best interest of this organization. They would never say it. Of course they wouldn't. It is in the best interest of this organization to miss the playoffs this season, because they cannot spin that in any way, shape, or form. They cannot say, well, no one expected us to be here, like they said last year, because they didn't make it to the playoffs. And then they will be forced to finally confront some hard truths about where this team is going. So I think there are Predators fans who want this team, who care about this team, that want them to want them to do poorly enough to miss the playoffs to see some real change. I really think that a good portion, a vocal minority of this fan base really believes that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't want to say like that's how I feel, but that is exactly. I really don't want to say that's how I feel, but it's like when I see them win. Like, let's take tonight's game, right? So, like, the Blues are trying to put together a push to look like a playoff team, and the Predators are trying to put together a push to look like a playoff team. I mean, neither team wants to tank, and neither team wants to sell and miss the playoffs and all of that. If they win tonight, it's going to be because the goalie steals the game, because that's the only way this team wins. And so if UC Soros has 77 saves and they win 3-1 with an empty netter, it's like, oh, see, this team's coming alive right now. Cody Glass had a goal last night. Think about that. Here they go. They won the big one they had to have. And it's like, no, you know better. Everybody who's watching knows better. That's how I feel about it. And so it becomes, as a fan, like a very frustrating experience watching the games, because I don't want my team to lose. Like, I don't want to go to the game and watch my team win and think, oh, that's bad. But at the same time, every time they win a game, I'm like, okay, this now means that they're going to have some false hope about what this team is or isn't, because that's what they always do. Every time you give them a little bit of a sliver, David Poyle will be like, see, we're right there. And that's what I can't stand.
Yeah. In hindsight, the one of, perhaps the worst thing that's happened to this franchise in recent memory was
21.
Their second half of the 56-game season.
Yep, 21. They were at rock bottom. They were at rock bottom, and they climbed their way out of it, and it was a fun end of the season, and it was a nice little series with Carolina, but that team could have been blown up, and now they've signed too many guys. It's going to be hard to blow this thing up right now.
Yeah, there really is no escape route in terms of an upcoming contract from a big name player that's expiring. I think Ryan Johansson and Mikael Granlund have 2 more years after this one, if I'm not mistaken. And then there are other core players who have longer contracts than that. But, look, I admit it. Like, I was fooled by that second half. I thought that in the shortened season, I thought, this team was, figuring it out, but it really was UC Soros playing like a Vezina Trophy winner. And I think, that halfway through that season, we were talking about trading Ekholm and trading Forsberg and trading everything that wasn't nailed down. And, now they're in a point where they're really stuck. Like, there really is no easy way out for them to fix this. And that's a real big problem, which is why I think there are fans who, like you said, Jared, and like how you feel, want this team to do well because they care about this team, but they also don't want them to do too well, because if they do, then things might stay the same.
I mean, I said this at the start of the season because I was around the team enough, that I got this sense that was they believe. Like, they believed that they could compete. I don't think a lot of people outside the team believed, but that doesn't matter if the team believes. But now I wonder if the team really thinks they can compete at the top of the league. Plus, Colorado, when I talk about making the playoffs and games in hand and the schedule and everything else, I mean, look, I don't keep up with, like, Colorado Avalanche hockey, especially during the football season. Why are they not in the playoff picture?
Because they've been horribly injured. Landeskog hasn't played at all this season. McKinnon missed 11 games earlier this season. Nichushkin's missed like 25 games. Makar didn't play last night. They've had a ton of injuries. They have not had their optimal lineup yet. And when that happens, look out. Like, I just looked this up because I'm writing about the Avalanche, and they've won their past 3 games by a combined score of 17-4. So I'm pretty certain they're going to make the playoffs once they get healthy.
So can we pin them in when we're talking about playoff spots? And we're like, well,
I'm pretty confident in the Colorado making the playoffs. Yes.
Okay. So then that means that the Predators really only have one shot, and they have to get in ahead of McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah. And, that team has its own issues, but, we have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and you don't. So
here's my prediction. My prediction is They don't fire the coach. They don't fire the general manager. The goalie steals just enough games. They get into the playoffs. They lose in 5 games.
Who are they losing to in 5 games?
Vegas.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see that. You know what would be hilarious? If they lost in 5 games to Seattle.
Oh, my. Don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started. Adam Vingan, good stuff in our Preds caucus, giving the perspective that cannot be shot down. Because with me, if I say something, it's like, Jared Stillman overreacts. Jared Stillman doesn't know anything. Jared Stillman's crazy. You can't say that about Adam. So I was glad Adam joined us for our Preds caucus there, where I do feel like I got a lot off my chest. Now, how? FanDuel Sportsbook, my official sportsbook app. Bet the NFL playoffs with FanDuel, where every play is a rush. This weekend, FanDuel is giving all customers a no-sweat same-game parlay during the divisional round. That's right. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your NFL playoffs same-game parlay does not hit. Same-game parlays let you combine all of your favorite bets for a chance at a bigger payday. You know, for me, I'm going to just over everything with Kansas City. I think they will smoke Jacksonville. You can ride with thousands of other fans and bet popular SGPs already made for you. If you're new to FanDuel, join now with the promo code JGM to see for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. And if you already have FanDuel, you can start building your no-sweat same-game parlay today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issue is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yost.
Matt Duchesne. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
Nate Bargatze from Old Hickory to Broadway.
Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They called Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze, Bridgestone Arena, Saturday, April 15th. Tickets available at natebargatze.com. Don't miss Nate Bargatze from Old Hickory to Broadway. Produced by Outback Presents.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey guys, listen up. If you're over 40, I've got a little tip for you. The reality is, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. It's just a scientific fact. The good news? You can actually do something about it with Nugenix Total T. Look, you don't want just any testosterone booster. You want the best, and Nugenix is #1 all the way. It's the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone booster and the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC and Walmart. And right now, you can get a complimentary bottle by texting TIP to 42424. Nugenix Total T is a game changer, and guys all over America are raving about it. So that's my tip. If you're a guy over 40, you need Nugenix Total T. To get your complimentary bottle, text TIP to 42424. Text now, and they'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text TIP to 42424. Text TIP to 42424.
Can't get enough Vanderbilt basketball?
Intercepted right all by himself for a one-hand flush.
Your home for the Commodores is 93.3 Classic Hits.
Put it up. It's good. Count it.
Join Coach Jerry Stackhouse and his team on their journey through the SEC.
Pulls a trigger. Yes, from 3.
Check out Vandy Hoops on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. Predators are in St. Louis. I heard Willie talking about it today on the midday show, saying it's a big game. Moneypuck.com gives the Predators a 19% chance to make the playoffs if they lose, a 27% chance to make the playoffs if they win. I mean, I don't know if I believe in must-win games in January, but that's neither here nor there. Hal Gill is in the booth right now. Hal, I am very depressed about my hockey team. How are you?
Oh, this is going to be fun.
So
great.
Let me start with this. I know the Predators have won their last two.
Jared.
But they lost
Poor
their three before they won their last two. I think the offense is terrible. I think the defense is terrible. I think the penalty kill is okay. I think the power play stinks. And if the goalie doesn't steal the game, I don't think they're going to win. And they had to have the goalie steal the game the other night against the worst team in the NHL, against Columbus. And I am not encouraged. And I do think that this team, if they really believe that they are playoff caliber, which they believed coming into the season, the fans, the majority of them, according to the Adam Vingan poll, did not. I do think that we're probably going to need to see a coaching change and get that sugar high from the coaching change in order to get that final push in there. I just don't like what I see. Hal, your thoughts?
Well, thanks for having me on, Jared. I appreciate you bringing me into this, and I really appreciate you telling me all about the Preds when you brought me on to talk about the Preds. I'm not sure what happened there, but do you want me to go through everything you just went through, and disagree with you on each?
Yes,
on each
that's
thing,
why I
do you
said
want me
your
to-
thoughts, like your thoughts on my feelings.
all right, okay, because I thought I was the analyst here, but yeah, you know what? All right, the Preds found ways to win. They won 2 games. You can tell me all you want about how Columbus is a bad team. There's still some good players on that team that are tough to play against. So, yes, they should have beat them. I think that game should have been taken over in the second period, and it should have gone in the third period. But, they're having a hard time getting that scoring to push it over the top. I think the power play is a big part of that. That power play was good for – they had a 8-game segment where they were really good. They were getting goals, and they were getting wins because of it. Then they went through a spell where the power play kind of fizzled out, and that can be the difference. The penalty kills certainly was a difference in the last 2 games. The third period, they had big kills that were able to get them. And yes, goaltending has been exceptional, but I think they're playing a defensive structure that allows for a goaltender to be successful. They're keeping shots to the same side. If you give up the backdoor goals, those are tough for anyone to stop. Although Juice somehow finds ways to make saves that we can't imagine him saving. But I think they're playing well defensively in front of them. The problem is that they're defending too much. I think they need to get onto the offensive side and attack. They need to have cleaner exits out of the D zone, getting stops and snuffing out plays early. That'll help. I do like their offensive game when they get it going. Now, if you look through personnel and what the Preds are doing, last year I thought they had a good team. They added McDonough. They added Niederreiter, the 2 pieces that I thought would bring this team together. So now with a healthy team, I'm looking at great goaltending, exceptional goaltending with Lankinen and Saros. The defense is first, one of the best defenses in the league with the top 2 pairings.
Are they?
I think they've been phenomenal. I think they're really good.
Oh, I think Carrier and Fabro and Lozon all are terrible.
Have you been watching?
Yes.
Lozon has been fantastic.
I watched Lozon not turn his head on 2 straight power play goals last week. It drove me insane.
He has been exceptional. I think he's been great. I think he had 9 hits one game, 8 hits another next game. Like, he's been physical, played hard, adding to the offense. I think he's been great. Carrier is a phenomenal young defenseman, and he's playing with Ekholm. I think that's one of the toughest D pairs in the game. They have some great numbers, and of course McDonough and Yossi are they're at the tops of the NHL. So I think the defense is good. I think Fabro has struggled at times. But that's, he's trying to feel out his game and get it together. But then you look at the forwards, you have a good base. Like last year with Forsberg and Duchesne and Johansson, the year that they had, you got to hope that those are going to come around. Like those numbers for Duchesne are going to come around, and he's going to be more impactful in extending plays in the offensive zone But then you look at the contributions from the young guys. I think Cody Glass has been great. He's playing the right way. He's moving his feet. He's playing on that line with Duchesne and Forsberg and making plays with those guys. You look at Parson and what he's done. A young center that is big and defends well. He's got a good offensive upside. I just think he sees the game really well, and I've been impressed with him. And Tommy Novak has come in and played well. On a fourth-line role, he's adding offense in that fourth line. So I just think this team is better than they have shown. And if they hit their stride, they're right on the bubble of the playoffs. They're 3 points out. If they can start to put together some wins before this All-Star break, I think you're going to like where they're at. I will like where they're at. So, they have a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong. I think they have to be consistent throughout a 60-minute span and be able to turn momentum. That's the one thing I think they've had a hard time with is stopping when a team is surging and turning it around. Maybe it's a 5-minute span instead of 15 minutes. And that's where they've had trouble. They need to turn that around. But I like the way the team is built, to be honest with you. They just need performances from guys that they expect performances, and that power play is a big part of it.
Hal, what do you make? Hal Gill's with us. What do you make of the fact that Eeli Tolvanen couldn't score here? He goes to Seattle, 5 goals in 10 games, basically calls the coach out. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that's it's a change of scenery. How many times have we seen that with a lot of players? Look at the Vegas Golden Knights, had a bunch of misfits their first year, and everyone was getting rid of their players and sending them to Vegas, and Vegas was going to tank and get some draft picks, and next thing you know, every one of those players
ever has that
stood on their
change
head
of scenery here?
With the changes. I think it happens in different places. It's one of those things where I think you're in a system and then you get a fresh start, and that's why you talk about coaching changes. Coaching change gets everyone's attention. If you get traded, you got your attention. You're going to get the best out of a player at that moment because they're hyper-focused. So I think that's, it happens in sports, and I think you're seeing that with Tolvanen. I'm happy for him. It wasn't working out here, and I don't think they wanted to lose him. They couldn't make it work. The way the cap was structured and roster spots, they needed to expose him, and good luck to him. But it wasn't working out here.
How come the
way
change
we
of
wanted
scenery?
it anyway.
Why does the change of scenery never benefit anybody here? It's like the Predators trade Fiala. He has his change of scenery. He flourishes into a top-line player. The Predators end up getting, Nino Niederreiter, and Niederreiter's fine. I actually kind of like Niederreiter, but it's not like the change of scenery has ascended his game or McDonough's game has ascended. In fact, the first couple of months McDonough was here, we were wondering if the guy was absolutely cooked or not. I do feel like the change of scenery, we can go all the way back to Wayne Simmons and Ryan Hartman and all these guys that have been acquired over the years, and it never feels like the change of scenery guy ever performs better here, but it does feel like all the change of scenery guys perform better somewhere else.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to go through and think of players, but, it's a tough one. I don't know. Maybe it's you. Maybe we can blame you.
Hey, I will say this. One time at the airport in Dallas before the 2019 Game 6, you guys were going back to Dallas, and Kyle Turris gave me the freaking stink eye at the airport. Just like the I hate you look. And in all fairness, Kyle Turris probably should have hated me. There is some truth there with that one.
No, I don't know. It's an interesting point, and you talk about Kyle Turris. When he first came to Nashville, he was awesome. He was making plays off the rush, and his game took a downturn as things went on. But I thought he looked good. Came in, he was on the line with Fiala, I believe, right? They had some
Fiala and Craig Smith
chemistry, and Craig Smith. It's a funny game the way it works, and sometimes you go to different places and it clicks, and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, Hal, how big is this one tonight? Give me the truth here.
Oh, I think this is huge. I think this is a big game. If the Preds can come out, and both teams are going to be dialed in for this one. Central Division, they're a point away from each other. They're both struggling to get into that spot and to find their stride. They have some injuries right now with O'Reilly, Tarasenko, and Krug out of the lineup. So it's a good chance for the Preds to jump on a team here, and they need to sense that. They need to have a good start. I really believe that when they can get going through the neutral zone, it sets up their forecheck, it sets up their attack, and I think they've had good starts. Now they need to put it out there and finish this game, get the start and then finish it, which they haven't really done as well as they could. So it's a big challenge tonight. I think this is a huge game.
Joel texts into the text line and says, ask Hal about Tanner Jeannot, why he never scores anymore, and why Tomasino is still in Milwaukee.
It blows my mind that Tanner Jeannot doesn't. He has done everything right. He had the backdoor goal in Toronto. That was like this unreal save from Murray, and like that should have gone in. He should have had a lot of goals. I mean, just looking back the last handful of games, he should have 5 goals, but it hasn't gone in. It blows my mind. Tomasino, I think he's, from what it sounds like, he's playing really well, and hopefully he can contribute to this team at some point. But they want to be careful with a young player's confidence and getting him up at the right time.
Okay, another texter
and
says,
it's also roster spots. You bring them up. Who do you move?
We got plenty of roster spots, Hal. Cole Smith, Jankowski, Tanner Jeannot.
So you're just going to lose guys then?
Yeah. But they got rid of Tolvanen. I don't see why they can't get rid of Cole Smith. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean.
I think Cole Smith, I know. I do think Cole. I know you're not going to ever budge on this one, but Cole Smith is a heck of a player. Sorry, he's another guy who's had a bunch of chances, and if he could start to score, you would see his game. You'd appreciate his game a lot more. I do get it. The production isn't there, but he affects games. He changes games the way he plays.
Hal, this is one of my favorite times of the week. My dad actually asked me how much longer until you stop doing this or smack me in the face. And in all seriousness, it makes me feel better about my hockey team to get my grievances off the air, off my chest with you. Great stuff. Enjoy the call tonight.
You know what? Hey, you know what you can do, Jared? Just do me a favor and sit back, listen to the game, watch the game, whatever you do. Just let it happen. Try not to be bitter about everything. Try not to just let the game happen and watch it with fresh eyes. Will you do that for me?
I will give you a clean slate at the Predators. Maybe I will consider it. Hal, great
stuff. This is
going
to be a good game. Enjoy it. You don't have to pee on your cornflakes every time you wake up.
I will enjoy it. Hal Gill with us. Enjoy the call with Max tonight, Hal.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yep, Hal Gill joining us on the program. I'm going to throw Ian under the bus here. Y'all should have seen Ian's face when Hal said that Cole Smith was a good player.
I was more laughing at your reaction than I think Hal's reaction.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I don't know about Cole Smith.
Oh, no. It was, I reacted after Ian reacted. Ian now is just trying to be like, he wants no part of this. I am delivering him right under the bus right here. But I love him, so, there's nothing you can say about it. 615-737-1025. Predators game day. You heard Hal say it's a big one. That's next. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's trivia time. You think you're pretty smart? Well, come on out Wednesday, February 1st to Boom Ba's East and test your trivia skills. Featuring Willie Donick as Trivia Master, all proceeds support STARS and the hope, health, and connection of young people in our community. Register your team of no more than 4 and let the competition begin. Go to starsnashville.org to officially sign up. That's starsnashville.org. See you February 1st at Boom Ba's East.
Hal Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. This year especially, we know price matters, and we're committed to delivering the best value every day. We've also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2023 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
Laying waste to your town. Mastodon. Gojira. The Mega Monsters Tour. May 2nd at Nashville Municipal Auditorium. With special guest, Lord Ashore. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com. Total sensory overload. Mastodon and Gojira.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark at Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Hotel. Looking for a romantic dinner with that special someone? Be sure to join us and try one of our signature dishes, like our Australian cold water lobster tail, blast fried to perfection, and tossed in lemon butter. Did I also mention we've won the Wine Spectator Award of Excellence 7 consecutive years? Come join us for a memorable meal here at Omni and be sure to ask for Chef Mark.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day is presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. TJ Anderson is my realtor, and he should be yours as well. I literally have no hesitation at all in referring TJ to my friends and my friends to TJ. He's taken care of 2 home purchases for me, and he can do the same for you. They've got a wonderful staff, and if you are thinking about selling your property free and clear, ask TJ Anderson how well he is having success marketing those properties. That's TJ Anderson of Benchmark Realty, TJAndersonHomes.com. Predators tonight against the Blues. This is a big one. MoneyPuck.com says it's basically a 10% swing, which is a huge as far as making the playoffs is concerned in January. So the Predators tonight take on the St. Louis Blues at the Enterprise Center at 7 o'clock. You heard Hal talk about all the injuries. We start with the coach's take, and this is John Hines on all the injuries with St. Louis.
Good teams, you want to have an identity and a system and structure in which you play with, which they clearly have. I think a lot of times, too, it's a good organization. And lots of times when you have injuries, and sometimes you get an influx of young, hungry players. We've witnessed that with our team this year. We've witnessed it with our team a couple of years ago that, there's a lot of guys that can play, and when they get their opportunity, they're hungry, they compete, they're coachable, they bring energy to the games every night, they're excited to be in the NHL, and a lot of times, that's why teams in this league, sometimes their team plays better when they have injuries because of I think some of that youthful excitement and the energy that you have, particularly at this time of the year.
The St. Louis Blues have not played better with the injuries that they have had, although they did win their last game against Ottawa the other night 2-1. They are 22-20-3, good for 47 points. The Predators 21-17-6 48 points. And again, you heard Adam Vingan. He says Colorado's making a surge. If the Predators are going to get it done, they got to start doing it now. That's it for us. Chase has the pregame. Pete Weber on his birthday. Happy birthday, Pete. Get well soon. Max and Hal have the call. We'll see you tomorrow at 2.